I dead. Like, super dead. Blown up on a secret military mission. Hero of the nation. Rest in peace, Gwada. Game over. Except apparently not. I woke up feeling like I'd been thrown into a washing machine full of rocks. My head was screaming, my ribs felt like someone had used them as a xylophone, and I was lying face up in a pile of wet leaves that smelled like dirt, old blood, and welcome to nowhere. I looked up. Giant trees. Weird jungle. Zero hospitals. Zero anything I recognized. Then, BM, a tidal wave of somebody else's memories slammed into my brain like a freight train. Turns out I'm now inside the body of a guy named Stanson, a half-orc. A half-orc. His whole life story downloaded into my head in about 3 seconds. Bullied by orcs for looking too human. Bullied by humans for being too horsey. Went hunting because he was starving. Got his ribs rearranged by some kind of foxwolf thing, and died right here in this exact spot. Well, crap, I said out loud. My voice sounded like a guy who gargled gravel for breakfast. Cool. First thing I did, looked at my hands. Big. Like, comically big. Bronze skin, veins popping out everywhere, nails hard enough to scratch metal. But hey, not super hairy. Small victories, people. Small victories. Then I checked the rest of me. Absolute unit. Chest like a barrel, abs you could see even though I was half dead, arms and legs built like tree trunks. This body was basically a biological weapon. My old Special Forces body. That was a Toyota. This thing was a tank. The bad news. A massive claw wound on my left ribs, crusty with dried blood, red, swollen, and screaming at me every time I breathed. Also, I was so hungry I could have eaten a tree. Literally. I was considering it. I touched my face. Strong jawline, nice. High cheekbones, okay. Teeth a little pointy, manageable. No fur on my face, thank God. Hair was short and spiky like a wire brush. Overall verdict. I looked less like a monster and more like the world's most jacked, slightly feral human dude. I could work with this. So let me get this straight. I'm a reincarnated Chinese Special Forces operative, stuck in the body of a half-orc reject, wounded, starving, alone in a monster-filled jungle on some fantasy continent called Talaris. Cool. Cool. But then, and I'm not gonna lie, I looked down at my pants and let out a little laugh. Let's just say the half-orc genes were generous in certain departments. Every cloud has a silver lining, am I right? Look, my motto has always been simple. Alive means possibilities, dead means nothing. And somehow, against all logic, I was alive again. That's the biggest bargain in the universe, and Gwada does not pass up a bargain. So I dragged my giant, bleeding, hungry, ridiculous new body upright. Almost 2 meters tall, by the way, had to duck under branches like I was in a house built for hobbits, and started walking. Used my 10 years of survival training to figure out where water might be. Somewhere out there was a drink, a meal, and maybe something that wouldn't try to eat me first. Probably. The jungle was dark, loud with mystery screams, and absolutely wanted me dead. But deep inside this busted-up body, I could feel something weird, like a volcano sleeping in my gut, some massive energy just sitting there. No idea what it was. Didn't care right now. That was a problem for future Stanson. Present Stanson needed water, food, and to not bleed out. One step at a time, big guy. One step at a time. All right, so where were we? Oh, right. I'm a reborn Chinese Special Forces soldier trapped in a half-orc body, bleeding from the ribs, starving like I haven't eaten in 3 lifetimes, which, technically, might be accurate, and standing in the middle of monster jungle with absolutely nothing to my name. Not even pants. Well, okay, I had pants. Barely. Step 1, water. I went full survival mode robot. Checked the soil moisture. Sniffed the air. Got down on my hands and knees and literally pressed my ear to the ground like some kind of orc whisperer. 10 years of elite military training doesn't just disappear because you switched bodies, people. The skills are in the soul. Found a direction where the ferns were extra lush and some wide-leaf plant called blue crown grass was thriving. Translation, water nearby. Let's go. And here's the thing, this half-orc body? Absolutely cracked at sneaking. I'm almost 2 meters of solid muscle, and somehow I was moving through this jungle quieter than a cat in socks. My old human body could never. I was practically floating. Found a little stream. Crystal clear, smooth pebbles on the bottom. Looked like something off a screensaver. Did I dive in face first? No, because I'm a professional. I hid in the bushes for 10 minutes watching it like a paranoid squirrel. Checked for predators. Checked for poison. Sniffed it. Then I drank. That first sip? Better than any beer I ever had. And I've had a lot of beer. Step 2. Weapons. Because what's a man without a good axe? I found some black flint rocks, a vine tougher than steel cable called iron wire vine, and beat the absolute daylights out of a dead ironwood tree until I got a decent stick. Then I sat there like a caveman at arts and crafts class, chipping away at a stone axe head, sweat pouring down my face, ribs screaming, hands shaking, but my hands, steady as a surgeon's. Some things you just don't lose. Tied it all together with wet vine, tested it with a couple swings, whoosh whoosh, and honestly, I felt like Thor. Ugly, homeless, half-orc Thor. But Thor. Step 3. Food. Tracked some little three-toed footprints along the stream. My nose, which is apparently way better now, picked up this musky, slightly fishy animal smell. Followed it about 100 meters and found my dinner. A badger-sized critter covered in pale green scales, happily digging in the dirt and going, chirp chirp, like it didn't have a care in the world. Sorry, little buddy. Gwida hasn't eaten since his last life. I calculated distance, wind, escape routes, the whole special ops playbook, then exploded out of the bushes like a missile with abs. The little scale badger freaked out, puffed up its armor, tried to dive into its hole. Too slow. One swing. Clean hit right where the scales were thinnest. Lights out, scale badger. I'm not proud. Okay, I'm a little proud. Step 4. Become a chef. Skinned it with a sharp rock, harder than it sounds. Those scales were like peeling a coconut made of armor. Check the guts for parasites because I'm classy like that. Washed everything in the stream. Along the way, I also went shopping in nature's pharmacy. Grabbed some ice moss grass, crush it up, and it oozes cooling goo, perfect for wounds. Found some bright orange mushrooms that were obviously poisonous, but I wrapped a few up anyway because hey, you never know when you need to poison something. Ate a yellow berry that was so sour my face almost imploded. Collected some fluffy tree moss for starting fires. Step 5. Fire. Bow drill method. Because I'm not some amateur rubbing sticks together. Made a little bow from a bendy branch. Used iron wire vine as the string. Spun a hard stick against soft wood until smoke appeared. Nursed the tiny ember onto my tinder like it was a newborn baby. And boom. Fire. I will never take lighters for granted again. If I ever get back to civilization, I'm buying 1,000 of them. Roasted that scale badger on sticks over the flames. Fat dripping, sizzling, filling the air with the most incredible smell. Tasted like a mix of chicken and fish with a wild, gamey kick. No salt, no seasoning, absolutely zero presentation points. And it was the greatest meal of my entire life. Both lives. I ate like 6 pieces. No regrets. Step 6. Don't die in your sleep. Slapped the healing moss on my ribs. Instant cool relief, like nature's icy hot. And then found a shallow rock overhang near the stream. Moved my fire to the front as a, please don't eat me, sign for wildlife. Cut a bunch of thorny branches and built a barricade across the entrance. Set up tripwire alarms with vine. Left just enough space for my giant orc body to crawl through. And finally, I sat down with my back against cold stone, axe within arm's reach, fire crackling, jungle howling all around me in the dark. Day 1 scorecard. Water, weapon, food, fire, shelter, not dead. Looking good doing it. That debatable somewhere out there in this dark, screaming jungle, things with teeth and claws were hunting. But tonight, behind my wall of thorns with a belly full of scale badger and a stone axe in my hand, I liked my odds. Wilderness debut? Nailed it. So I woke up on day 2 and my stomach was basically trying to eat itself. You know that feeling when you skip lunch and get a little cranky? Multiply that by about 1,000 and add a body that burns calories like a furnace on overdrive. That scale badger from yesterday? My body processed it like it was a single cracker. One cracker. This half-orc metabolism is absolutely insane. I'm like a biological black hole. Everything goes in, nothing is enough. Am I part tapeworm? I muttered to myself. Seriously, this body eats like it's training for the Olympics of eating. The good news, my little overnight snare traps actually caught something. A chubby rabbit-looking thing with gray fur and tiny ears, flopping around and squeaking. Sorry, buddy. Circle of life. I ended it quick and clean. I'm not a monster. Well, technically I'm half monster, but a polite one. Did I eat it right away? No, because Gwida is a planner. Morning prep montage. Picture it in slow motion with dramatic music. First, I sharpened my stone axe on a wet sandstone rock by the stream. That thing had gotten dull from yesterday's scale badger fight. Scraped and ground it until the edge was gleaming like a razor in the sunlight. Could practically see my own tired, ruggedly handsome orc face in it. Then I went full prehistoric weapons manufacturer, grabbed some flint, smashed it open, picked out the sharpest pieces, and tied them onto 2 short sticks with bark fiber. Boom! 2 throwing daggers. Tested the balance, gave them a spin. Chef's kiss. Deadly. But wait, there's more. I also made a slingshot. Found a Y-shaped branch, tied it up with stretchy vine, loaded up my pockets with smooth rocks. David versus Goliath style. Except I'm basically Goliath with David's weapon. Unfair advantage. I prefer tactical flexibility. Finally, I took that rabbit's fur and wrapped strips around my hands, forearms, elbows, and knees as makeshift armor. Did I look ridiculous? Probably. Did I look like a caveman who'd just discovered fashion? Absolutely. But hey, function over form. I was basically wearing the jungle equivalent of boxing gloves and knee pads. Gear check complete. Let's hunt. Time to go big game shopping. I started doing a spiral search pattern from my camp. Special Forces recon technique. Works just as well in fantasy jungles as it does in actual war zones. And let me tell you, sneaking in this body is unreal. I'm a 2-meter wall of muscle tiptoeing through ferns like a ballet dancer made of shadows. My orc instincts and my soldier training were merging together like the world's most dangerous peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Every footstep, silent. Every movement, calculated. I was a ghost. A very large, very hungry ghost. My nose was working overtime too. I could smell everything. Dirt, rot, flowers, mushroom spores, and then, there it was. A rich, grassy, animal musk. Stronger than the rabbit. Something bigger. Followed it. Found hoofprints in the mud. 2-toed, deep impressions. Something heavy. Deerish, I figured. Or goatish. Either way, dinnerish. Fresh chewed branches still oozing white sap. Warm droppings. This thing was close. I circled wide, approached from downwind, took the longest possible route to avoid detection. Patience is the hunter's greatest weapon. Also, desperation. Desperation is pretty motivating too. Finally, I parted a curtain of glowing moss vines and jackpot. 7 or 8 beautiful deer-like creatures grazing in a clearing. Gray-brown fur with dark spots. Perfect jungle camouflage. Instead of normal antlers, they had short spiral bone horns that looked sharp enough to skewer someone. Their ears were huge, spinning around like satellite dishes, picking up every tiny sound. These things were basically walking radar stations with stabby heads. I picked my target, a big, muscular one that had wandered slightly away from the group. Probably the second-in-command buck, munching berries without a care in the world. I gripped my axe, slipped a throwing blade between my fingers, got my slingshot ready. And then every hair on the back of my neck stood straight up. You know that feeling? That something is very wrong feeling? 10 years of near-death experiences had turned that feeling into basically a superpower. My danger alarm was screaming. I froze, stopped breathing, went full statue mode. Slowly, very, very slowly, I scanned the edges of the clearing. Trees, shadows, bushes, roots. There, near a massive tree trunk. Claw marks in the dirt. Deep. Violent. Way bigger than hoofprints. And not just one set. A whole trail of them, carefully hidden, leading right toward the deer herd from the shadows. Something else was hunting these deer. Something big. Something patient. Something that had been sitting there in the dark, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, just like me. I was the mantis catching the cicada, and something behind me was the bird about to catch the mantis. My blood went ice cold. Every drop of sweat on my back turned to frost. If I had charged out there 5 seconds earlier, chasing deer like a hungry idiot, I would have spooked everything, blown my cover, and served myself up as a free appetizer to whatever nightmare predator was lurking in those shadows. That's not dying heroically. That's dying stupidly. And Gwuda does not die stupidly. Not twice, anyway. So what did I do? I pressed myself flat against the ground like a pancake. A very muscular, very scared pancake. Controlled my breathing until it was barely a whisper. Became one with the dirt. My eyes were the only things moving, flicking between the happy, clueless deer and that terrifying shadow where something with enormous claws was crouching. Now here's the decision. Do I bail? Crawl away quietly, live to fight another day, go home to my rock cave and eat sad rabbit for dinner? Or do I wait? Let the mystery monster attack first, let everything go crazy, and then steal a deer in the chaos like the world's most opportunistic grocery shopper? My stomach screamed. Stay, my ribs. Screamed. Leave. My brain screamed. This is insane. My soul, the part of me that once rode a motorcycle into a terrorist compound, whispered, "Do it," so I stayed. Flat on the ground. Heart pounding. Axe ready. Throwing blade ready. Every muscle coiled like a spring. Waiting for the unknown predator to make its move while also watching my own back, because for all I knew, there could be a third hunter out there watching me. Jungle politics, man. It's like a reality TV show where everyone's trying to eat everyone else, and I'm the new contestant nobody invited. The sweat was rolling down my face. I didn't blink. I didn't move. The deadliest game of who moves first in the history of this stupid forest was officially on. I flat on the ground, playing the world's most dangerous game of don't move, don't breathe, don't exist. The deer were munching. The mystery predator was lurking, and my stomach was growling so loud I was genuinely worried it would give away my position. Time slowed down to a crawl. You know how in movies everything goes into slow motion before the action scene? It was like that, except it lasted forever, and instead of cool music, all I could hear was my own heartbeat and some bird that would not shut up. Then one of the deer, a smaller female, the smart one of the group, suddenly snapped her head up. Ears spinning, nostrils flaring, berry juice still dripping from her mouth. She sensed it. The other deer noticed her noticing, and suddenly everyone stopped chewing. And then the shadow moved. What came out of those trees? I'm going to need a moment. Imagine a wolf. Now make it the size of a small horse. Now paint it dark red, like dried blood red. Like, I've bathed in the tears of my enemies, red. Give it muscles that look like they were sculpted by an angry god. Now take out one eye and replace it with a massive scar that splits half its face open, leaving an empty socket that looks like a portal to actual hell. And the remaining eye? Glowing with the kind of cold, psychotic rage that says, I kill things for fun and eating them is just a bonus. Yeah, that came out of the shadows. My brain instantly named it Blood Fong, because what else do you call something like that? Mr. Snuggles? And this thing was fast. Like, blink and you're dead, fast. It didn't just run at the deer, it basically teleported. 1 second it was in the shadows, next second it was airborne, jaws wide open, aiming for the biggest buck's neck like a furry guided missile. Crack. 1 bite. Neck snapped like a breadstick. The buck dropped like a bag of rocks, legs twitching, blood spraying everywhere like a broken fire hydrant. The whole clearing turned into a crime scene in about half a second. 1-hit kill. This wolf didn't mess around. This wolf was the final boss of the entire jungle. And I was hiding in a bush 30 feet away thinking, well, I've made a terrible decision. Bloodfong stood over its kill, planted a paw on the dead deer like a conqueror planting a flag, and let out a roar that I felt in my bones. Not a howl, a roar. Hey, this is mine, and if you even think about it, I will yendi you, roar. Then its one glowing eye swept the tree lean like a searchlight. Dot and stopped. Right. On. Me. Oh no. Oh no. Look, I was hidden perfectly. Not a sound, not a movement. But apparently this demon wolf could smell the faint blood from my rib wound. Or maybe it sensed my fear. Or maybe it could just smell the former human who doesn't belong in this world on me. Either way, cover blown. Game over. It knew I was there. Every muscle in my body went from tense to about to explode. No time to think. Only time to not die. I did not run backward in a straight line. That's how you get caught by literally everything with 4 legs. Instead, I threw myself sideways behind the fattest tree I could find. At the same time, I flicked one of my throwing blades, not at Bloodfong. I'm not stupid enough to think a toothpick would stop that, but at the ground where its paws would land next. Just trying to mess up its footing for half a second. Half a second was all I needed to not be dead. Shrip! I dodged its main attack. Barely. Barely. Its claws raked across my back as I rolled, shredding my leather shirt like tissue paper. 3 new burning lines of pain. Blood immediately. Cool. More scars. Just what I needed. But, and this is the beautiful part, when Bloodfong landed from its pounce, one of its paws came down right on top of some sharp flint scraps I'd scattered earlier. Just little stone fragments from making my weapons. I hadn't even planned it as a trap. I'd just dropped them out of habit. RAWR, Bloodfong yelped. Not hurt badly. Those paw pads were like leather armor, but surprised, annoyed, thrown off rhythm for just a fraction of a second. And that's all I needed. Mid-roll, I swung my stone axe, but not at the wolf. At a thick, dead vine hanging from above. I'd spotted it during my earlier scouting. Because Gwada always checks the ceiling. Always. Snap. The vine broke free. A heavy chunk of dead wood plummeted straight down onto Bloodfang's head and shoulders. Did it hurt the wolf? Honestly, not really. The big jerk dodged most of it, but it did make him stumble. And more importantly, it made him furious. You know what's worse than a giant one-eyed demon wolf trying to kill you? A giant one-eyed demon wolf trying to kill you who is now personally offended. Bloodfang looked at me the way you'd look at a mosquito that just slapped you across the face. Pure, insulted, volcanic rage. That single I went from, "I'll eat you," to, "I will eat you slowly and enjoy it." What followed was, honestly, the worst few minutes of either of my lives. Bloodfang went absolutely berserk. Claws, teeth, full body tackles, the complete greatest hits album of wolf murder techniques, played at triple speed. I was dodging, rolling, blocking with my axe, hiding behind trees, scrambling over rocks, getting shredded piece by piece. Every time our weapons clashed, his claws against my stone axe, the impact nearly dislocated my shoulders. My arms went numb. My hands were screaming. I was bleeding from everywhere. My clothes were basically confetti at this point. I'd been hit so hard my internal organs were filing complaints. Blood was coming out of my mouth, which is never a great sign on the "am I dying" checklist. But here's the thing about me. The more desperate things get, the calmer I get. Some people panic under pressure. I turn into an ice-cold calculator. Every desperate dodge, every sloppy block, I was gathering data, learning its attack patterns, timing its lunges, figuring out which side it favored, how it planted its feet before a big strike, where its blind spot was on that missing eye side. And I was leading it somewhere specific. See, during my morning recon, I'd mapped out a patch of low, muddy ground. Wet, slippery, bad footing for a 1,000-pound murder machine. Good footing for a desperate half-orc who weighed half as much. I chucked my last throwing blade at its face, not to kill it, just to make it flinch sideways. It dodged, straight into a wall of thorny bushes. The thorns didn't pierce its thick hide, but they stuck in its fur like 100 tiny needles, and boy did that make it mad. Then Bloodfang had enough. It reared up on its hind legs, towering over me, blotting out the sky like a furry eclipse, front claws spread wide like twin guillotines, jaws gaping, open wide enough to swallow my entire head, and came down at me with every ounce of rage and power in its massive body. This was the kill shot, the finisher, the "you annoyed me for the last time, you bald little orc" move. No dodging this one. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. Just me, my busted stone axe, a body that was falling apart, and a wall of teeth and claws coming at me like a freight train made of nightmares. The smell of death hit me like a cold shower. And my only thought? All right, big guy, let's dance. TOB continued. Seriously though, if I die on day 2 of my second life, that's just embarrassing. So where were we? Oh right. A demon wolf the size of a small car was falling on top of me with its mouth open wide enough to swallow my entire torso, and I had about 0.3 seconds to not die. Here's the thing about being cornered with 0 options. Your brain either shuts down or goes into ultra instinct mode. Mine picked option B. Time went slow motion, like Matrix slow, and in that freeze frame, I saw it. 2 weaknesses. 1. Bloodfang was fully stretched out mid-leap, belly completely exposed, soft and unprotected. 2. Its left front leg, the one with the old injury, had a tiny hitch in its movement. Just a fraction of a stiffness. Most people wouldn't notice. But I'm not most people. I'm a guy who spent 10 years noticing things that keep him alive. So what did I do? Something absolutely, certifiably insane. I stepped forward. Into the attack. Directly into the path of those claws. Gwada, you might say, that's suicide. And yes, technically I agree. But hear me out. I angled my body, so his claws hit my left shoulder, the side that was already messed up. Sacrifice what's already broken to protect what still works. Special Forces math. It's ugly, but it adds up. Trip. Crack. His claws went into me. Deep. I heard bones cracking. My bones. The pain was so extreme my vision went white, then black, then some color that doesn't exist in the human spectrum. I'm pretty sure my soul briefly left my body, looked at the situation, said, nope, and came back because the afterlife rejected me again. But, at the exact same moment, I launched my slingshot at Bloodfang's right rear knee. Not to kill it, just to mess up its balance at the worst possible moment. Thwack. Direct hit. The big idiot's perfect killing pounce turned into an awkward stumble. Weight shifted. Balance broken. And that was my window. I wrapped my right arm around its neck like a headlock from hell. used its own forward momentum against it, and slammed this 1,000-pound wolf face first into the mud. Boom. Mud and blood everywhere. Like a bomb went off in a swamp. Before it could recover, I swung my stone axe, not at its body, might as well hit a tank with a spoon, but at its right front elbow joint. Structural damage. Take away the legs, take away the fight. Crack. Bloodfang howled. Its good front leg buckled. And then, my left hand. The whole time, I'd been hiding my sharpest, most carefully prepared flint blade. My secret weapon. My ace in the hole. While Bloodfang was reeling from the elbow hit, I drove that flint blade straight into its left armpit, the softest spot on its body, right next to the chest cavity, close to the heart. No armor there. No thick fur. Just soft tissue and major blood vessels. Then I twisted, and pulled down, and ripped. Though. Bloodfang screamed. And I mean screamed. Every bird in a 5-mile radius shut up. The entire jungle went dead silent. Like even the trees were going, oh dang. Hot wolf blood exploded all over me. Face, mouth, eyes. I was drinking the stuff. Tasted like pennies and regret. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. Bloodfang thrashed like a bucking bronco on steroids. Trying to shake me off, trying to roll, trying to do anything. But I held on like the world's most stubborn backpack. Right arm locked around its throat. Left hand twisting that flint blade deeper, wider, Messier. I couldn't let go. If I let go, everything I'd sacrificed, the shoulder, the ribs, half my blood supply, would mean nothing, and I'd be dead in seconds. This was no longer a fight. This was a contest of pure willpower. Who gives up first dies. We rolled in the mud and blood for what felt like an hour, but was probably about a minute. Both of us screaming, bleeding, fading. My consciousness was flickering like a dying light bulb. His movements were getting weaker. We were both circling the drain, and it was just a question of who went down first. And then, Bloodfang pulled something I was not expecting. A psychic attack. A psychic attack. This wolf, this animal, shot some kind of chaotic, dying mental energy blast straight into my brain through our body contact and mixed blood. It was like getting hit by a spiritual grenade. My head exploded with pain. No warning. No defense. Just, boom, crazy wolf rage energy smashing into my consciousness like a wrecking ball. What the, was my last coherent thought. But here's where things got really weird. Remember that mysterious volcano of energy sleeping inside me? The one I couldn't access or understand. The one I'd been ignoring because I had bigger problems? Well, Bloodfang's psychic death blast apparently poked the volcano. And the volcano woke up. And it was not happy about being poked. Boom. An indescribable wave of something erupted from inside me. Not physical, not magical, something deeper. Something that felt like the entire universe was briefly expressing its displeasure through my body. An aura of absolute, cosmic, I am God and you are an anti dominance that blasted outward in every direction. Bloodfang's little psychic attack versus whatever lived inside me was like a match versus the sun, a raindrop versus the ocean, a chihuahua barking at a black hole. It was obliterated instantly, didn't even leave dust. And Bloodfang, the terrifying, one-eyed, deer-murdering, jungle-ruling apex predator, it completely broke. Every ounce of fight, rage, and pride drained from its body like someone pulled a plug. Its legs collapsed. Its tail jammed between its legs. It started whimpering. This massive killing machine was shaking like a chihuahua in a thunderstorm, making little, woo-woo sounds, practically crying. I think it might have peed itself. Honestly, I can't confirm or deny that. There was a lot of liquid on the ground already. It wasn't just scared. It was experiencing what I can only describe as existential religious terror. Like it had just met God, and God was the bleeding half-orc currently lying on top of it with a flint knife in its armpit. And then, I passed out. Because of course I did. My body said, cool, crisis over, shutting down now, goodbye, and I collapsed into the mud like a sack of bloody potatoes. I don't know how long I was out. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. When I finally clawed my way back to consciousness, every single part of me was screaming in agony. Opening my eyes felt like bench pressing a car. But the first thing I saw? Bloodfang's massive head, right next to mine. Its one eye staring at me with an expression I can only describe as worried. I flinched. Old combat instincts. Giant wolf face 2 inches away. Danger, danger. But the movement tore every wound on my body open simultaneously, and I almost blacked out again from the pain. Bloodfang didn't attack. Instead, it made this soft, gentle whining sound, and nudged something toward my mouth with its nose. A chunk of fresh deer meat. The good stuff, liver and prime cuts. Ripped from the deer it had killed earlier and carefully placed next to my face. Then it started licking my wounds. Gently, carefully, like a nurse. A giant, terrifying, one-eyed, blood-soaked nurse. I looked at my injuries. The bleeding had mostly stopped on the ones Blood Fong had been licking. I looked at Blood Fong's belly. That horrible gash I'd carved was still open and awful, but it had dragged itself over to bring me food anyway. I looked at the meat. I looked at the wolf. I looked at the meat again. My brain, running on approximately 2% power, slowly connected the dots. Did I just, accidentally, tame this thing? That insane energy blast from inside me, whatever that was, had apparently scared Blood Fong so deeply, so fundamentally, right down to its DNA, that it had gone from, "I will eat your face," to, "Please accept this offering, my lord and master. I am your humble servant forever." I now had a pet. A giant, one-eyed, demon wolf pet. That 5 minutes ago was actively trying to murder me. Ha ha. I started laughing. It came out as a raspy, blood-bubbling wheeze that turned into coughing, which turned into spitting up blood, which hurt so bad I wanted to cry. This is the most ridiculous thing. I lay there in a puddle of mixed blood and mud, broken in about 15 places, barely alive, with a 400-pound demon wolf cuddling up next to me like a guilty golden retriever who just destroyed the couch. If this were back in modern times, I'd be one of those weird guys at the dog park whose rescue makes everyone else leave. Oh, don't worry, Blood Fong is friendly. He only killed like 2 things today, day 2 of my new life, and I've gone from naked caveman to naked caveman with emotional support murder wolf. Progress? I think so. Questionable progress, but progress. Me and my new emotional support murder wolf, both looking like we lost a fight with a blender, limping through the jungle like the world's saddest buddy cop movie. Blood Fong was curled up next to me while I chewed on the last piece of raw deer meat like it was a 5-star steak. No salt, no pepper, no plate. Just a bleeding half-orc eating dinner off the ground next to a wolf the size of a couch. Gordon Ramsay would cry. I reached out and patted Blood Fong on the head. It tensed up. Every muscle went rigid like, if you weren't my terrifying overlord I would bite that hand off. But then it leaned into it and whimpered like a puppy. 1,000-pound, one-eyed, scar-faced demon wolf. Doing the puppy lean. If any other jungle animal saw this, their brains would melt. The most feared predator in the forest was getting head scratches from a half-dead half-orc and enjoying it. "All right, buddy," I said, "we're in this together now. Both gotta survive." Blood Fong snorted hot blood breath in my face. I chose to interpret that as agreement. We needed to move. The blood from our epic death match was basically a dinner bell for every predator in a 10-mile radius. Staying by the stream was like putting up a neon sign that said, "Free meat." "Already tenderized. Can you walk?" I asked the wolf. Blood Fong tried to stand, almost face-planted. I caught it with my good shoulder, which was hilarious if you think about it. A 2-meter half-orc propping up a wolf that weighed more than him. Both of us held together by dried moss paste and pure stubbornness. We started walking, slowly, painfully, like 2 drunk guys helping each other home from the worst bar fight in history. I picked a direction, uphill, denser forest, better vantage points. Every step pulled at my wounds. Every breath Blood Fong took made a wet wheezing sound. We were a mess, but my senses were cranked to 11. Special Forces radar plus orc super senses. I was catching everything. Smells, sounds, micro-movements in the bushes. I steered us around predator territory markers, dodged a swamp that smelled like sweet death and probably had poisonous everything living in it. Then Blood Fong froze. Full stop. Every muscle locked. A low, rumbling growl vibrated through its chest. The kind of sound you feel in your bones more than hear. Its nose was twitching like crazy, and that one I was laser-focused on something ahead and to the left. I smelled it too, and it was weird. Not an animal smell. More like cheap leather, body odor, and something uniquely intelligent smelling. Mixed with blood, but not beast blood. Something different. And sounds. Distant, but getting clearer. High-pitched shrieking. Metal clanging. Not natural. Not animal. Something was going down out there. I hand-signaled Blood Fong to stay silent, which, credit to the wolf, it understood immediately. Former apex predator, current obedient sidekick. Character development. I ghosted forward through the trees, silent as a shadow, pain shoved into that mental box where soldiers keep things that would stop them from functioning. Bloodfawn crept behind me, somehow managing to be sneaky despite being the size of a motorcycle. The sounds got louder. The smell got worse. Way worse. I crawled behind a mossy boulder, peeked over the edge, and oh no, down in a little forest clearing. About 7 or 8 of the ugliest creatures I have ever seen were dancing around in a circle like the world's worst birthday party. Short, barely up to my waist. Skin the color of moldy avocados. Covered in warts. Huge heads, pointy ears, bulging yellow eyes like dirty light bulbs, and mouths full of teeth that looked like someone dropped a box of needles and glued them in randomly. They were wearing scraps of filthy leather armor and waving rusty knives, wooden clubs, and sharpened sticks around like they'd just raided history's crappiest armory. Goblins. My brain screamed the word instantly. Every fantasy game, every myth, every scrap of memory from both lives. Goblins. Greedy, cruel, cowardly, and dangerous in numbers. The cockroaches of the fantasy world. But what they were surrounding. Oh, backed against a cliff wall, cornered and bleeding, but absolutely not giving up, was. Okay, look, I need a moment to describe this properly because my brain short-circuited a little. She was tall, almost as tall as me. Built like an athlete, all lean muscle and explosive power, like a jaguar in human form. Wheat brown skin painted with dark leopard pattern war paint. Face that was both beautiful and sharp enough to cut glass. Amber eyes with vertical slit pupils that were literally burning with defiance even though she was clearly running on fumes. 2 slightly pointed fangs peeking out from her lips. Wild black hair like a lion's mane. And on top of her head, 2 fuzzy black cat ears twitching with fury. Oh, and a tail. A black leopard tail with a white tip, lashing behind her like an angry whip. She was wearing form-fitted leather armor that was. Look, I'm a soldier. I noticed tactical details, and the tactical details here were very distracting. She was also covered in wounds. Arms, legs, waist, all bleeding, clearly exhausted, but the twin black curved blades in her hands were rock-steady and radiating. Come closer and find out. Energy. A leopard tribe warrior woman. Fighting for her life. And winning, sort of. She'd already slashed one goblin's wrist open, and it was screaming like a pig. But there were too many of them, and she was fading fast. My brain immediately split into 2 camps. Camp logic. Gwada, you absolute idiot. You are half dead. Your wolf is half dead. Walking away is the smart play. This is not your problem. Camp. Everything else. But she's cool, and there are goblins, and you hate goblins, and she could be a useful ally and information source. And also, did you see her? I watched a goblin charge at her with a rusty knife. She dodged low, impossibly fast, and her blade opened up its wrist like a zipper. But while she was dealing with that one, another jabbed a sharpened stick into her side. She twisted. It only grazed her, but more blood. More pain. Her knees buckled for a second before she caught herself against the rock. The goblins got more excited. They smelled weakness. The circle tightened. Okay, decision time. The smart move was to leave. Quietly. Safely. Conserve energy. Heal up. Live another day. But here's the thing, those goblins? If they found me and Bloodfang later in our current state, we'd be just as dead. Better to fight them now, on MY terms, with surprise on my side, than let them stumble onto our camp at 3 a.m. Also, I desperately needed a local guide. Someone who knew this world, this jungle, the politics, the dangers. Cat Ear Warrior Lady over there was clearly experienced, clearly tough, and if I saved her life, clearly would owe me one. Also, and I cannot stress this enough, goblins are disgusting and I wanted to hit them with my axe. Never pass up a good deal, I muttered, licking my cracked lips. The old motto. I turned to Blood Fong, locked eyes with it, and gave the simplest briefing of my military career. You. Stay. Hide. Wait for my signal. Then, attack. I pointed at Blood Fong. Mayday. Stay down. Gesture. Pointed at the goblins below, then mimed biting and clawing. Blood Fong looked at the goblins. Looked back at me. Its expression was unmistakable. That seriously? Those little things? Beneath my dignity, but it obeyed. Crawled into the shadows behind some rocks. Melted into the darkness. One eye glowing like a red ember. Locked onto the clearing below. Ready. Good wolf. I checked my gear. Stone axe, sharp. Slingshot, loaded. Flint blades, tucked and ready. Body, absolutely wrecked but functional enough. Brain, already calculating angles, positions, and the fastest way to turn 7 goblins into 0 goblins. Then I started moving, silent, invisible, circling around to the goblin's blind side. Because rule number 1 of ambush warfare, the enemy should never know you exist until it's too late. The hunt was on, and this time, the goblins were the prey. They just didn't know it yet. All right, Operation Save the Cat Girl and Don't Die was a go. I crept through the shadows like a ghost with abs, circling around behind the goblin squad. Every movement sent a lightning bolt of pain through my ribs and shoulder, but I shoved all that into the mental trash bin labeled, deal with later. Right now, I was a machine. A broken, bleeding, limping machine, but a focused one. Down below, things were getting bad for Leopard Lady. Her breathing was ragged, her movements were slowing, and those little green turds were getting braver, tightening the circle like hyenas around a wounded lioness. She was still deadly. Every swing of her twin blades sent goblins scrambling, but the math was against her. Too many of them. Not enough of her. I found my spot. A small hill with loose rocks on top and a thick thorn bush at the bottom. Perfect. I set up my little surprise, nudged a few stones into position so they'd roll with one kick. Loaded my slingshot. Picked the loudest, ugliest goblin, the one waving a rusty knife and screeching orders like a tiny green drill sergeant. That was the boss. That was target number 1. Deep breath. Ignore the pain. Focus. Flick. My slingshot stone crossed the distance like a bullet and nailed that goblin boss right in the back of the skull. Bonk. The sound was beautiful, like a coconut hitting a watermelon. The little green general stumbled forward 3 steps with his eyes rolling back and face planted into the dirt. Twitching. Done. Every goblin froze. Silence. 7 ugly faces turning around in confusion like, wait. What? And that's when I kicked the rocks. Crash, bang, rumble. Stones tumbled down the hill, smashing into the thorn bushes, snapping branches, throwing up dirt and debris. It sounded like a small avalanche. The goblins lost their minds. Behind us. Enemies. Enemies behind us. They were spinning in circles, waving their rusty weapons at nothing, screaming at each other. Total chaos. Absolute pandemonium. Beautiful, beautiful pandemonium. And Leopard Lady? She didn't waste a single second. The moment those goblins turned their backs, something inside her ignited. Her amber cat eyes flashed. She let out this low, predatory growl that made the hair on my arms stand up, and she launched herself like a black lightning bolt at the 2 nearest goblins. SHHHK. SHHHK. 2 throats opened. 2 goblins down. She moved so fast I barely saw the blades. Just the spray of green blood and 2 bodies dropping. Catgirl was scary. I was immediately glad I'd chosen to rescue her instead of fight her. My turn. I stood up from behind the hill and let out the loudest war cry I could manage. Not for intimidation, for communication. Blood Fong. Now. And from the opposite side of the clearing, right behind the goblins' exposed backs, came a roar that shook the trees. Blood Fong exploded out of hiding like a demonic freight train. Injured? Yes. Slower than usual? Sure. But to a bunch of waist-high goblins, a charging one-eyed mega-wolf with murder in its eye was basically the apocalypse with fur. It plowed straight into the thickest cluster. One swipe of its paw sent 2 goblins flying like ugly green baseballs. I heard their bones crunch midair. Then it grabbed a 3rd goblin in its jaws, the one that tried to stab it with a wooden spear, bless its stupid little heart, and just bit it in half. Clean. Like snapping a breadstick. That goblin didn't even finish screaming before it became 2 separate pieces of goblin. The remaining goblin's morale didn't just break. It evaporated. Monster, run. The one-eyed demon. They scattered like roaches when you turn the lights on. Tiny green legs pumping, weapons thrown aside, high-pitched screaming filling the forest. I charged down the hill after them. Found one slightly bigger goblin trying to rally the others with an actual iron knife. A real weapon. Couldn't let that one go. It saw me coming and swung its blade at my face. I brought my stone axe down on the knife like a hammer. Clang. The iron knife went flying out of its hands. Its grip shattered. It looked up at me with those stupid yellow light bulb eyes full of pure terror. I kneed it in the chest so hard it launched backward, hit a tree, slid down, and stopped moving. After that it was just cleanup. Leopard Lady was a tornado, weaving through the chaos, blades flashing, every movement precise and lethal. Blood Fong was doing what Blood Fong does best, being absolutely terrifying and turning small creatures into smaller pieces of creatures. I picked off the runners with my slingshot and axe. 3 minutes, maybe less. 7 or 8 goblins reduced to a pile of green-blooded messes on the forest floor. The clearing went quiet. Just 3 survivors standing there, panting. Me, pale, sweating, wounds reopened, bleeding through my bandages, leaning on my stone axe like a cane. Leopard lady, apparently named Lena, based on the memory fragments finally kicking in, gripping a rock, gasping for air, covered in a mix of her own blood and goblin blood, somehow still, looking like she could murder anything that annoyed her. Blood Fong, licking green goblin goo off its claws with the casual indifference of a cat cleaning itself after knocking a vase off the table. Lena looked up. Our eyes met. I saw her processing me. The half-orc face that was weirdly human. The muscular body covered in wounds and crude fur bandages. And then her gaze slid to Blood Fong, the infamous jungle nightmare wolf, sitting obediently next to me like an oversized, gore-splattered Labrador. Her eyes went wide. Shock. Disbelief. A flicker of gratitude. She opened her mouth to say something. Thank you. Who are you? Why do you have a pet demon? And that's when my stupid body decided to ruin the moment. That volcano of mysterious energy inside me, the one I can't control, can't access, and don't understand, it picked this exact moment to hiccup. Just a tiny leak. A little burp of power. Nothing compared to the full blast that broke Blood Fong's spirit, but enough to seep out of me like heat from an open oven. Lena's reaction was dramatic. She flinched. Like full-body electric shock flinch. The color drained from her face so fast, she went from wheat brown to ghost white in half a second. Her cat pupils shrank to pinpricks. Her hands re-gripped her blades, not because she wanted to attack me, but the way you'd grab a railing during an earthquake. You? What are you? She half screamed, her voice actually cracking. The power inside you. That's impossible. You're a walking magical abyss. An unstable chaos furnace. You could explode. Oh great. So I'm a bomb now. Wonderful. Apparently, leopard people can sense magical energy, and what she was sensing inside me was the equivalent of someone opening a door and finding the entire ocean behind it. She said my power was millions of times greater than the most powerful shaman in her whole tribe. Millions. And it was completely uncontrolled, just sloshing around inside me like nuclear waste in a rusty barrel. Blood Fong wasn't helping either. The moment that little energy burp happened, it started whimpering again and giving me that, please don't vaporize me, my lord, look. Which was not the, he's harmless, I promise, vibe I was going for. What magic? I said, trying to play it cool. I'm just a wounded traveler. You're seeing things. Smooth, Gwada. Very smooth. Lena looked at me like I'd just told her the sky was green. I am not wrong. Leopard tribe senses never lie. You are literally the most dangerous thing I have ever stood next to, and I was just fighting goblins. Cool. So the woman I just rescued was now more scared of me than the things that were trying to kill her 5 minutes ago. I stood there, covered in blood, mine, wolves, goblins, deers. At this point, I was a biological sampler platter, holding a stone axe, with a traumatized megawolf pressing against my leg like a scared puppy, while a beautiful cat-eared warrior woman stared at me like I was a ticking nuclear warhead in orc pajamas. For the first time since arriving in this world, I truly understood the scope of my situation. This power inside me, whatever it was, wasn't just some cool bonus feature. It was enormous. It was unstable. It was the reason Blood Fong submitted. And apparently, to anyone who could sense it, I looked like a walking extinction event who chose to fight goblins with a rock on a stick. Which, when you think about it, is either the most humble or the most insane thing anyone has ever done. The awkward silence stretched. 3 beings who'd just fought together, now staring at each other in a clearing full of dead goblins, the air thick with blood and tension, and one very big unanswered question. What the heck was I? Honestly, I had no idea either. But I was starting to think I should probably figure it out before I accidentally sneezed and leveled a mountain. The goblins were dead. The clearing smelled like a slaughterhouse that also doubled as a sewer. Flies were already showing up like tiny green paparazzi buzzing around the crime scene. Sunset was painting everything orange-red, which would have been romantic if not for all the corpses. And there I was, leaning on my stone axe like a grandpa leaning on a cane, trying not to pass out, while Lena, the leopard warrior goddess, stood 10 feet away gripping her blades and staring at me like I was a live grenade shaped like a person. Which, apparently, I kind of was. But hey, at least I finally had a moment to actually look at her properly. And ahem. Look, I'm a professional soldier. I notice tactical details, strategic assets, Structural features. Lena was built, not in a gym selfie way. I was forged by the jungle itself way. Tall, almost as tall as me, with the kind of lean, explosive muscle you see on actual big cats. Wheat brown skin, smooth and sun-kissed. A waist that defied physics given how strong the rest of her was. Legs that went on forever. And everything was wrapped in this minimal leather armor that was clearly designed for maximum mobility and also maximum. Make Gwada forget how to think. Her face was sharp and beautiful, high. Cheekbones, amber cat eyes with vertical pupils that literally glowed, a nose like it was sculpted, full lips with two tiny fangs peeking out that were somehow both scary and adorable at the same time. Wild black hair like a lion's mane, all messy with sweat and blood, and those fuzzy black cat ears on top twitching at every sound, with little white tufts at the tips. And the tail. Can't forget the tail. Black leopard tail with a white tip, swishing behind her like an angry metronome. She was covered in wounds and goblin blood and war paint, and she still looked like she belonged on the cover of Dangerous and Beautiful Monthly. My half-orc blood was doing things. Let's move on. Do I look like I can explode? I said, trying to break the ice. Gestured at my broken, bleeding, barely standing self. If I had that kind of power on tap, you think I'd be fighting goblins with a rock taped to a stick? Bloodfang grumbled next to me like it was offended I'd mentioned the goblin fight at all. Beneath its dignity, apparently, I saw the gears turning in Lena's head. She was looking at my wounds. Very real, very bad. My weapons, laughably primitive. My general vibe, homeless caveman who's had the worst week of his life. She was doing the math. If this guy could control that ocean of power inside him, why would he be this pathetic? Answer: he wouldn't, which meant I genuinely couldn't control it. That realization brought her fear level down from run to proceed with extreme caution. Progress. You really don't know what's inside you, she asked, voice still shaky. I shook my head with my best, innocent and confused face. I know I'm stronger than normal and heal faster, but magic furnace chaos volcano whatever? No clue, half true half lie. Special Forces Rule number 1 of information management. Revealed just enough ignorance to seem trustworthy. Keep enough secrets to stay alive. She stared into my eyes for a long time. Cat people apparently have built-in lie detectors or something because those amber pupils were drilling into my soul. But eventually she decided I was telling enough truth to work with. She put her blades away. I mentally exhaled so hard I almost actually exhaled. Whatever you are. Thank you, she said finally, voice settling into this husky, no-nonsense tone that I was going to enjoy hearing a lot more of. I'm Lena, Black Panther Clan warrior. Goblins ambushed me. My squad. Her eyes went dark for a second. Pain. Worry. Got separated. Gwada, I said. Then added. Stanson. Currently. Freelance homeless. I pointed at myself and Bloodfang. 2 wrecked idiots who needed medical attention yesterday. We need to patch up and get out of here. This place is going to be a predator buffet in about 20 minutes. Survival talk. The universal language. Instantly, we were on the same page. Lena snapped into action. She searched the goblin bodies, which, respect, because those things were nasty up close, and found some actually useful stuff. A small water pouch with half a bag of clean water still in it. Some crude salt blocks. Fire-starting materials. The goblin weapons? She took one look at those rusty pieces of junk and made a face like someone offered her a sandwich made of garbage. Hard pass. We moved to a slightly elevated spot with a rock wall behind us. I basically collapsed against the stone like a puppet with cut strings. Bloodfang dragged itself over and flopped down too, its belly wound reopened and bleeding again from the goblin fight. We were a mess. Lena handed me the water pouch. Drink. Go easy. 2 sips of cool water. It tasted like liquid heaven. I wanted to chug the whole thing, but handed it back. Rationing. Grown-up decisions. Ugh. Then came the medical portion of our evening, and this is where things got interesting. Lena pulled out this tiny box carved from black wood. Inside was a dark green paste that smelled like menthol and herbs, and, please work because I am dying over here. Clan medicine, she said. Good stuff. She went to treat Bloodfang first. The wolf raised its head and growled at her like, excuse me, do I know you? I patted its big dumb head. Chill. She's helping. Bloodfang looked at me. Looked at Lena. Looked at me again. Then laid its head down with a grumpy rumble like a teenager being told to let the doctor check their throat. Lena's eyebrows shot up. She was clearly amazed at how obedient my murder wolf was. Yeah, lady, I'm that guy now. She treated Bloodfang's belly wound. Deep. almost hit internal organs. She packed it with the green paste and wrapped it with cloth strips torn from her own clothes. Bloodfang immediately calmed down as the painkiller kicked in. Good stuff indeed. Then it was my turn. Your wounds, she said, all business. I peeled off what was left of my shirt, and I used the word shirt generously because at this point it was more like a memory of fabric. My upper body was a roadmap of pain. The left shoulder wound from Bloodfang's claws was practically down to the bone, red and swollen and angry. The rib gash was puffy and threatening infection, plus about 30 other cuts, scrapes, and claw marks decorating my chest and back like the world's worst tattoo collection. Lena saw all of it. Her eye twitched. I could practically read her thoughts. How is this man still standing? How did he fight like that while looking like a human? Sorry, half-orc. Pin cushion. She started cleaning my wounds with the remaining water. Cold liquid hitting raw flesh. My muscles locked up. Every nerve ending screamed. But I didn't make a sound. Soldier's pride. Also, pretty girl was watching. Double soldier's pride. Then the green paste went on. Initial sting, like someone jabbing a hot needle into each wound, followed by a wave of cool relief that was so good I almost moaned. Almost. Kept it together. Barely. Then came the bandaging. And this part. Look, I'm just going to be honest. She had to get close. Real close. Her fingers were on my skin, wrapping cloth around my shoulder, my ribs, my chest. I could smell her. Not perfume, obviously, but this mix of sweat and blood and something wild and alive and uniquely her that was doing absolutely criminal things to my half-orc brain chemistry. She was close enough that I could see the individual white tufts on her ear tips twitching. Close enough that her tail accidentally brushed against my arm twice. Close enough that when she reached around my torso to wrap the bandage, her face was about 6 inches from mine, and those amber cat eyes briefly looked directly into my soul. My heartbeat was not elevated because of blood loss. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. She paused once. I felt her fingers hesitate on my skin. She'd sensed the power again, I think. That ocean of chaos energy inside me giving off a little warmth. She recovered quick, though. Professional. Respect. Done, she said, stepping back, a little sweaty herself. Best I can do. We need clean water and real shelter, or these will get infected. Thanks, Lena. Seriously, and I meant it. That clan medicine was the real deal. She waved it off, but then fixed me with those serious amber eyes again. Gwida Stanson, whatever your name is, that power inside you. I've never seen anything like it. Never even heard of anything like it. It's enormous and completely chaotic, like a storm with no end. It's dangerous to you. Magical backlash could tear you apart. And it's dangerous to everything around you. You need to figure out what it is and learn to control it. Or, she didn't finish. Didn't need to. Or you'll die and possibly take a chunk of the continent with you, was implied. Any suggestions? I asked. Your tribe have a magic expert? A teacher? Anyone? Her eyes flickered with something complicated. She glanced at the darkening sky, then back at me and my pathetic wolf. First, we survive tonight. I know a hidden cave nearby. We rest, recover some strength. Then, she paused, that we talk. My clan might have records. Or you could seek a shaman. Shaman? My ears perked up. Figuratively. My ears don't actually perk, thank God. Wise ones who commune with ancestral spirits and elemental forces. They guide the tribes. They might be able to sense and help direct your power. But, she looked uncertain. Your situation is unprecedented. It could be very risky. I filed shaman in my brain under top priority. Figure out why I'm a walking nuclear reactor. Alright. Cave first. Existential crisis later. Lena took point. Even exhausted and bleeding, she moved through the jungle like she was born in it. Which, well, she was. I limped behind her with Bloodfang hobbling at my side. The three of us casting long shadows in the dying light. 2 wounded warriors and a crippled mega-wolf, heading into the unknown together. New party members acquired. Lena, hot leopard warrior with medical supplies and local knowledge. Thinks I'm a ticking time bomb. Fair. Bloodfang, giant demon wolf. Currently functioning at about 40%. Still scarier than anything else in this jungle. Me, apparently containing an ocean of godlike magical energy that I can't use, can't control, and don't understand, while fighting monsters with rocks. The universe has a sense of humor, and I am the punchline. But hey, I'm alive, I've got allies, I've got a lead on answers, and Lena's tail brushed my arm twice. Day 2 of my second life. Chaotic, bloody, confusing, and weirdly Looking up, cozy little cave on a mountainside. Campfire crackling. Vines covering the entrance. Blood Fong snoring with one eye open like the world's most paranoid guard dog. Almost romantic, if you ignored the fact that everyone present was held together by herb paste and willpower. Lena had found this hideout earlier during her scouting. A dry, hidden cave just big enough for 2 wounded idiots and 1 wounded megawolf. She'd camouflaged the entrance with vines and branches from the inside, like a professional interior decorator for fugitives. Girl had skills. I was propped against the back wall, chewing on the last piece of dried deer jerky from Lena's emergency stash. Hard as a rock. Tasted like salted wood. Absolutely delicious when you're running on fumes and borrowed time. Across the fire, Lena was cleaning her twin black blades. The firelight was doing some really unfair things to her skin, all golden and glowy. The leopard wore paint on her cheekbones looking like it was alive. Every now and then she'd wince when a movement pulled at a wound, but she'd smooth it out instantly. Tough girl. My kind of tough. Our eyes kept meeting across the fire and then immediately darting away like 2 teenagers at a school dance. Except our version of awkward crush energy was more like, I saved your life, but you think I'm a walking apocalypse, so this is complicated. I broke the silence first because someone had to. The shamans you mentioned. What exactly are they? Lena stopped polishing and sat up straighter. Hugged her knees. Got this serious, storyteller look on her face. And then she gave me the full download. Shamans, apparently, are the ultimate multi-class characters in this world. Part spiritual medium, part doctor, part weatherman, part therapist, part army chaplain. They talk to ancestor spirits, commune with elemental forces, heal wounds with magic, predict the future, and in battle they can call down storms or buff warriors with power-ups. Basically the most OP support class imaginable. Not everyone can become one. You need a special soul talent for resonating with spirits and elements. Years of meditation, rituals, and training. The strongest shamans can merge with powerful ancestor spirits and temporarily become demigods. Cool, I thought. So do I have shaman powers? Absolutely not, Lena said, so fast and so firm that I actually flinched. Then she explained, and yeah, my situation was not the shaman situation. Shaman power is like a gentle stream borrowed from nature, controlled, channeled, following the rules of the world. Elegant, orderly, like a well-designed plumbing system. My power. She described it as, and I'm quoting loosely here because she got really intense about this, an ocean. A bottomless, raging, chaotic ocean of raw primordial energy crammed into a body that was basically a water balloon trying to hold back the Pacific. Not a stream, not a river, a sea, an angry sea, with hurricanes, and possibly sea monsters. It's like someone took every river on the continent and forced them into a single water skin, she said, voice getting higher. You are the source. You don't borrow power, you contain it. And it's so massive I can't understand how you haven't been destroyed by it. She also pointed out that my power was completely uncontrolled, like a chained prehistoric beast thrashing around. In its sleep, and even the tiny bits that leaked out were enough to shatter a creature's will, see, Blood Fong, or make a seasoned warrior, see, her, almost drop to her knees. Honestly, she said, almost whispering now, the fact that you're still conscious and fighting with a stone AXE is a miracle. This doesn't match any known power system. I wonder if something ancient and forbidden has awakened inside you. Great, great. So I'm not just a bomb. I'm a forbidden ancient bomb. A vintage, collector's edition, biblically accurate bomb. So what you're saying, I said, making an explosion gesture with my hands, is that I could just, boom, at any time? She nodded, solemnly. Then she added the cherry on top. Also, your current state is like a lighthouse in the dark. Anything that hunts by sensing magical energy, certain monsters, dark sorcerers, things like that, will be drawn to you like moths to a flame. To them, you're the most delicious snack on the continent. Wonderful. Not only am I a bomb, I'm a bomb that attracts monsters. I'm a monster magnet that might explode. That's my whole identity now. Blood Fong whimpered in the corner. Even the wolf knew this was bad. I closed my eyes. Let it all sink in. My incredible, golden finger, cheat code from reincarnation? Not a gift. A curse. Like winning the lottery, but the money is made of dynamite and everyone wants to steal it, and also it might spontaneously combust. But you know what? I didn't survive. A suicide mission, die, get reborn as a half-orc, kill a demon wolf with a rock knife, and fight goblins with a slingshot just to sit here, feeling sorry for myself. Problems exist to be solved. So, I said, opening my eyes, shaman training. The basics. Is there anything about controlling wild energy? Even baby steps. Lena looked impressed that I'd bounced back so fast. Point for Gwada. She thought about it, looking conflicted. Shaman beginners start by sensing tiny elemental energies and learning to guide them with their mind. But your situation is like trying to drain a flooded dam with an embroidery needle. I'm not even sure the basic method would work, or if it might provoke that thing inside you and make everything worse. Gotta try, I said. No negotiation in my voice. It's an MY body. That means theoretically I should be able to control it. Even if I can only manage 1/1000th of a trickle, that's better than sitting here waiting to explode or become monster bait. Consider it. Repayment for saving your life? I added a little smirk at the end. Charm offensive. Always keep him off balance. Lena glared at me. I can't believe you're joking right now, glare. But her face softened just a tiny bit. Those cat ears twitched. Fine, she said quietly. I'll teach you the absolute basics. Meditation and mental focus techniques. Our leopard warriors learn a little bit of this for enhancing perception, plus the most elementary concepts of elemental sensing. But you promise me, the second something feels wrong, you stop. This is not a game. Promise, I said, and I meant it. She looked at me, really looked. Firelight dancing in those amber eyes. I could swear her cheeks went slightly pink, but she turned away fast, cleared her throat. Close your eyes, Gwada, I obeyed. Forget the ocean inside you. Empty your mind. Not sleep, alert stillness. Feel your breathing, your heartbeat, your blood flowing. Pull your awareness inward, away from the world, to a single point, between your eyebrows or your heart. Wherever feels natural. Okay, empty my mind. Sure, easy. It was not easy. My brain is wired for threat detection. 10 years of special forces training had turned my subconscious into a 24/7 security camera system. Every sound, every shadow, every micro-change in air pressure, my instincts refused to shut up. It was like trying to meditate in the middle of a fire alarm. But I'm stubborn. I wrestled those thoughts down one by one. Focused on breathing. In, out, in, out. Slowly, the outside world faded. Just the crackle of fire. Just my heartbeat. Lena's voice, soft now, guiding. Good. Now try to see, with your spirit. Sense the smallest, gentlest energy around you. The warmth of the fire. It's not just heat. It's alive, dancing, joyful. Reach toward it with your mind. Gently, like touching the most delicate flower petal. Try to feel its mood. I reached. I tried. I really, really tried. And I got nothing. The fire was warm on my face. That's it. That's all I could feel. No magical, dancing energy. No mood. No spiritual connection. My psychic senses were apparently about as sharp as a bowling ball. I was poking around in the dark with my mind like a blind man, trying to find a specific grain of sand on a beach. Minutes passed. Sweat beaded on my forehead. Not from heat, but from sheer mental effort producing zero results. I felt like an idiot. The guy with supposedly the most powerful magical energy in the known world. Couldn't sense a campfire's feelings. The universe was definitely laughing at me. Lena sighed softly. I could almost hear her thinking. Yeah, I figured. She was about to say something comforting. Take it slow, don't rush it. The usual gentle letdown. But here's the thing about me. I don't handle failure well. And when I get frustrated, I get reckless. After failing to sense any outside energy for what felt like the 100th time, my exhausted, stubborn brain did something incredibly stupid on autopilot. That little thread of mental focus I'd gathered up with nowhere to put it, instead of reaching outward toward the campfire again, I turned it inward and poked the ocean. Just a tiny touch. The lightest, most curious little mental finger tap on the very surface of that bottomless sea of chaos power sleeping inside me. Like dropping a single water drop into a pot of boiling oil. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so you know how Lena told me. Be very careful, and stop if anything feels wrong. And I said, I promise. Yeah, I lied. Not on purpose. But my brain lied on my behalf. Here's what happened. I was sitting there, eyes closed, trying to feel the campfires, emotions, like Lena told me. Reaching out with my mind. Searching for magical energy. And getting absolutely nothing. Zilch. Nada. My spiritual senses had all the sensitivity of a brick wall. I couldn't feel the fire's mood any more than I could taste the color blue. Minutes of sweating. Minutes of straining. Minutes of feeling like the world's dumbest wizard. I had an ocean of godlike power inside me, and I couldn't even sense a campfire. It was like being a billionaire who can't figure out how to open his own wallet. And then my frustrated, exhausted, idiot brain did the one thing Lena specifically told me not to do. Instead of reaching outward toward the fire, my mental focus turned inward. Just a teeny tiny poke. The lightest, most gentle little tap on the surface of that sleeping ocean inside me. Like knocking on a door to see if anyone's home. Someone was home, and they were not happy about the knock. Boom. Not an actual sound. More like my soul got hit by a freight train. The ocean itself didn't even react. My little mental poke was so tiny compared to it that it was less than a speck of dust on the surface of the Pacific. But those chaotic energy storms around the ocean, the wild, uncontrolled currents constantly swirling on the edges, those woke up, and they came rushing through the tiny channel my stupid, curious brain had opened like water through a cracked dam. Everything went insane simultaneously. The campfire, our nice, cozy, normal little campfire, exploded upward. Flames shot 3 meters high, turned blinding white, nearly hit the ceiling. The cave lit up like a nuclear flash. Fire sparks rained down everywhere like a fireworks factory had detonated. Blood Fong let out this pathetic whimper. The most feared predator in the jungle literally pressed flat against the ground, shaking like a leaf, too scared to even lift its head. Lena got hit with the psychic shockwave. Her cat ears slammed flat against her skull. Every hair on her body stood up, tail included, probably looked like a bottle brush, and she got knocked backward into the cave wall. Her face went white. Her own magical energy got snuffed out like a birthday candle in a hurricane. And me? I was having the worst time of all. My head felt like someone was inflating a balloon inside my skull. My body felt like it was being pumped full of lava. I was going to pop. Literally burst. In about 2 seconds, I was going to paint this cave with the inside of a half-orc. Survival instinct kicked in. Get this energy out of me. Now, my pathetic little mental powers couldn't plug the leak. That was like trying to stop a tidal wave with a napkin. So instead, I tried to direct it. Push it somewhere. Anywhere. Just out. And in my panicking, desperate brain, the only concepts I could grab onto were the things Lena had just been teaching me. Warmth, life, healing, soothing energy. So I shoved the entire uncontrolled flood of chaotic god power toward the concept of healing and aimed it at my 2 worst injuries, left shoulder and ribs. Also at my left palm, which I'd apparently raised without realizing it. What happened next was, well, my left hand started glowing. Not a subtle glow, not a gentle shimmer. A blinding, intense, deep emerald green light that was so bright it overpowered the white-hot campfire and turned the entire cave into what I can only describe as the inside of a green sun. The light was thick. You could practically chew it. It radiated pure life energy so powerful that the air itself felt alive. And my wounds? Oh boy, my left shoulder. You know, the one that was literally down to the bone from Bloodfong's claws? The one that should have taken weeks to heal, even with magic medicine? It healed in 3 seconds. I'm not exaggerating. 3 seconds. Muscle fibers squirmed and reconnected like living worms. Skin zipped shut like someone was pulling a zipper. Scabs formed, fell off, and underneath was skin so smooth and perfect it looked like nothing had ever happened there. Not even a scar. Brand new skin. Same thing with my ribs. Ripped open, inflamed, borderline infected, gone. Healed. Perfect. Like I just rolled off an assembly line. Lena, who I found out later was watching this whole thing with her jaw on the floor, apparently recognized this as something way beyond normal healing magic. In this world, basic healing spells are called something like minor healing. What I'd just accidentally done was apparently closer to legendary tier resurrection magic. The kind of spell that top-level shamans couldn't pull off in their wildest dreams. And I'd done it by accident while panicking. But the energy wasn't done. It had healed me and still had nowhere to go, so it just kept going. Blasted outward like a green shockwave. Here's the damage report, or rather, the life report. A few dead weeds on the cave floor instantly grew, sprouted, flowered, bore fruit, and then withered through their entire life cycle in about 4 seconds. Birth to death, fast-forwarded. On the cave floor, in a cave with no sunlight. The rock walls, covered in a thick layer of fresh green moss. Instantly, like someone hit fast-forward on a nature documentary. Bloodfong, that horrible belly wound from our death match, the one that almost killed it, healed to a faint pink line of new skin. Basically fixed. The wolf was so confused it just lay there blinking its one eye like, "That what? And me?" The moment, all that energy flushed out of my system. I felt like someone had vacuumed out my soul. Total emptiness. Complete exhaustion. My eyes rolled back. My body went limp. And I fell forward like a timber. "Goda!" I heard Lena shout, barely, like she was a mile away. Then I felt arms catch me. Warm arms. Strong but gentle. And the faint wild scent that I was starting to associate specifically with a certain leopard warrior. And then, nothing. Lights out. Brain offline. Gwida has left the building. Now, I was unconscious for this next part, so I'm reconstructing from context clues and the fact that when I eventually woke up, things were a certain way. From what I can piece together, Lena caught me before I face-planted. She was holding an unconscious, shirtless half-orc who 5 seconds ago had accidentally detonated a healing bomb that rewrote the laws of nature inside a small cave. She looked at my wounds, or rather, where my wounds used to be. Perfectly smooth, flawless skin. Not a scratch. The kind of healing that would make every doctor, shaman, and magical healer on the continent retire in embarrassment. She was scared, obviously, because what just happened was terrifying. She was shocked, because that healing spell made legendary magic look like a band-aid. She was worried, because I clearly had zero control, and next time the energy might go toward destruction instead of healing. But she also apparently. Look, I wasn't conscious for this. But when I woke up later, my forehead had been wiped clean of sweat. I was lying comfortably, and Blood Fong was curled up next to me while Lena sat nearby watching my face with an expression that was complicated. Apparently, seeing a man who contains godlike power but can't even sense a campfire, who fights monsters with rocks because he can't access his own abilities, who accidentally performs legendary miracles while trying to do the magical equivalent of kindergarten homework, who is simultaneously the most powerful and most helpless being she's ever met. Apparently, that combination is interesting to leopard warrior women. I mean, I get it. I'm basically a newborn god in a caveman costume. That's a very specific niche, but clearly it works for somebody. The cave evidence told the whole story. Fresh moss on the walls, dead and reborn weeds on the floor, a nearly healed megawolf snoring peacefully, and a cat-eared warrior woman who was definitely not blushing as she dabbed sweat off an unconscious half-orc's forehead. Day 2 final scorecard. Killed a demon wolf. Tamed the demon wolf. Accidentally. Massacred goblins. Saved a hot cat girl. Learned I'm a magical nuclear reactor. Tried meditation. Failed completely. Accidentally performed god-tier healing magic. Passed out in said cat girl's arms. Made her blush. Allegedly. She'd deny it. Understand any of what's happening to me. Magic lesson number 1. Complete. Method, absolute catastrophic chaos. Grade, A for results, F-4 technique, and an extra credit point for style. I am the worst wizard in history, and somehow also the best. I woke up feeling like $1,000,000, which was confusing because the last thing I remembered was my brain trying to exit through my ears while my body turned into a magical green flashbang. But here I was, alive, comfortable, and... Wait, I reached for my left shoulder. The one that was basically hamburger meat yesterday. The one where Blood Fong's claws had gone so deep I could have stored spare change in there. Smooth skin. Perfectly smooth. Not a scratch. Not a bump. Not even a tan line where the wound used to be. Like it never happened. I checked my ribs. Same thing. Factory new skin. Zero evidence that I'd been mauled, stabbed, clawed, and generally used as a chew toy for the past 2 days. My body felt incredible. Like I'd slept for a week at a 5-star spa instead of passing out on a cave floor after accidentally detonating a healing nuke. Every muscle was fresh, every joint was loose, everything worked perfectly. The only downside was this deep, hollow tiredness in my soul, like my spirit had been wrung out like a wet towel. Blood Fong lifted its head when I sat up and actually wagged its tail. The great and terrible demon wolf of the jungle. Wagging, like a golden retriever who just heard the word walk. Its belly wound was nearly gone too, just a faint pink line where yesterday there was a gaping horror show. Lena was sitting by the fire, poking it with a stick, clearly deep in thought. When she heard me move, she looked up with the most complicated expression I've ever seen on a person's face. It was like watching someone try to feel scared, amazed, confused, grateful, and slightly annoyed all at the same time. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Like I got trampled by a herd of elephants, then slept for a century," I said, flexing my completely healed arms. "But physically? Never better." "What?" Happened after I blacked out. She let out this long, exhausted sigh and told me everything. The mega campfire, the green healing explosion, the instant wound repair, the weeds that lived entire lives in 4 seconds, the moss that colonized the cave walls, blood fawn getting healed as collateral damage. You nearly blew up my entire worldview along with this cave, she said with a bitter laugh. Yeah, that sounded about right. Then she dropped something interesting. She'd been thinking about my power all night, while I was unconscious and apparently drooling in her general direction, and she had a theory. Ancient King Kong bloodline, she said, with this dramatic, epic saga tone. Apparently, way back in this world's prehistoric era, there were these colossal ancient beasts, basically fantasy gorilla dinosaur hybrids. Could uproot mountains. Skin harder than steel. Life force like an ocean. Absolute apex everything. They went extinct ages ago, but sometimes, very rarely, their bloodline could resurface in certain individuals through some kind of genetic throwback. My ridiculous strength, my insane recovery, my absurdly deep magical reserves that smelled like raw primordial chaos. It all matched the legends. King Kong bloodline, I rubbed my jaw. I mean, it tracked. Maybe that magical fruit I ate back on Earth didn't just give me power. It woke up something ancient sleeping in this body's DNA. It's just a guess, Lena cautioned. Nobody's actually seen a real King Kong beast, but it's the only explanation that even comes close to making sense. King Kong bloodline. I was basically Godzilla's gym buddy. Cool. Then something clicked in my brain. Something beautiful. Something stupid. Something perfectly, gloriously me. I started laughing. Not a normal laugh. A scheming, villainous. I just figured out how to break the game. Laugh that made both Lena and Bloodfong stare at me like I'd lost my mind. Here was my logic. Can I do fancy magic? No. My magical finesse was basically zero. Trying to do precise spell work with my power was like trying to do calligraphy with a fire hose. Can I heal myself? Absolutely yes. Last night proved that my chaotic ocean of power had a natural affinity for life and recovery energy. Even accidentally, it produced legendary tier healing. Am I built like an absolute tank with King Kong genes? You bet. So the strategy was obvious. Step 1, get a massive weapon. Something heavy. Something brutal. Something that says, I don't need technique. I have gravity and muscle. Step 2, run at the enemy like a maniac. Step 3, trade hits. You hit me, I hit you. Except MY hits are backed by prehistoric monster strength, and your hits don't matter because. Step 4, instant heal. Patch myself up mid-fight. Rinse and repeat. A regenerating berserker tank who hits like a truck and can't stay hurt? That's not a warrior. That's a video game boss. That's the character you throw your controller at because it's not fair. I looked at my pathetic little stone axe. Picked it up. Tossed it aside like yesterday's garbage. Not enough punch, I declared. Then I walked over to a boulder in the cave. A huge one. Needed 2 people to hug around it. Squatted down, grabbed it, and lifted it off the ground. Just raw-dogged a half-ton rock like it was a moving box. Lena's jaw dropped. Bloodfong's one, I went wide. I need something heavier, I announced, putting the boulder down with a thud that shook the cave floor. A war club. A mace. A big stupid stick with pain on the end. No fancy footwork. Just swing and smash. One force conquers all technique. The beautiful simplicity of overwhelming violence. Lena was staring at me like she was watching a natural disaster develop a battle strategy. I could see her thinking, this is the dumbest plan I've ever heard, and it's going to work perfectly, before she could respond. SUE. A horrible, ear-shredding shriek from the sky, like someone dragging a knife across a chalkboard while a cat screamed into a megaphone. Lena's face went pale. Riftclaw vulture. They track blood scent and go after wounded prey. I looked up. Circling above us was the ugliest bird I'd ever seen. Bald, wrinkly head like a diseased turkey. Hooked beak that could puncture steel. Wingspan of 4 or 5 meters. And its claws, dark metallic, curved like scythes, glinting in the sunlight like weapons of war. It spotted Bloodfong, still the weakest-looking target despite its healing, and Dove. Wings tucked, screaming, dropping like a feathered missile aimed right at my wolf. And my first thought? Oh my god, this is literally King Kong swatting airplanes. My second thought? Let's Joe. Come here, you ugly chicken. I roared, and instead of dodging, I sprinted toward the action. I looked left, looked right there. A dead tree, about thigh-thick, 3 meters long. I grabbed it, planted my feet, twisted my whole body, and ripped it out of the ground. roots and all, dirt flying everywhere, just casually uprooted a tree like pulling a weed. The vulture was already diving at Blood Fong, metallic talons extended, going for the kill. Blood Fong tried to dodge, but was still a bit stiff from its freshly healed wounds, and I stepped in with my tree. No technique, no finesse, no martial arts, just 2 arms full of King Kong power, and a 3-meter log swung like a baseball bat at a bird the size of a hang glider. Boom. Direct hit. Center mass. The sound was like a car crash mixed with a watermelon explosion. The vulture shrieked, a sound of pure shock and agony, and went sideways through the air like a feathery cannonball. Slammed into the mountainside. Crumpled to the ground in a heap of broken wings and scattered feathers and confused life choices. I didn't give it time to recover. I dropped my now-cracked tree trunk, sprinted over, jumped on top of the dazed bird, dodged its frantically snapping beak, and started punching. Wham! 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 Fist after fist. Pure caveman fury. Each punch backed by muscles that could lift boulders and a bloodline that apparently dated back to the dinosaur era. I was punching this bird like it owed me money. 3 hits was all it took. The vulture's head caved in like a rotten pumpkin. Brain and blood everywhere. All over my fists, my chest, my face. The bird twitched twice and checked out permanently. I stood up, breathing hard, flicked chunks of bird brain off my knuckles, and looked down at my handiwork. King Kong, 1, Airplane 0, classic. Then I noticed. The tree bark had scratched up my arms and chest during the fight. A few shallow cuts, nothing serious. Time to test the healing. I focused inward. Carefully, very carefully this time. Not like last night's catastrophe. I found that ocean of power, barely skimmed the absolute tiniest droplet from the surface, and guided it gently toward healing. A faint green flicker, barely visible. The scratches sealed up instantly, skin smooth and perfect, like rewinding a video. It worked. Controlled healing. Microdose. No explosions. No cave redecorating. No passing out. The system works. I turned to Lena, who was standing there with her mouth slightly open, covered in a fine mist of vulture debris, watching a shirtless half-orc who had just uprooted a tree, swatted a giant bird out of the sky like a fly, punched it to death with his bare hands, and then casually healed himself with a tiny green glow. I grinned at her. Full smile. Teeth and all. Probably looked absolutely psychotic with bird blood all over my face. Looks like this approach works. Lena blinked. Closed her mouth. Opened it again. Closed it. Blood Fong wagged its tail. The new battle doctrine of Guada, formerly of Chinese Special Forces, currently a half-orc with King Kong DNA and a magical ocean in his belly. Hit things with big stick. Get hit back. Heal instantly. Hit again. Repeat until nothing else is standing. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't sophisticated. It was the tactical equivalent of a toddler's tantrum backed by the power of an ancient god. And it was going to work beautifully. I just punched a giant vulture to death with my bare hands. Healed myself with a green glow like a discount superhero, and now I needed a proper weapon because punching everything forever was going to get old. Probably. Lena, being the practical one, immediately cut open the dead bird and pulled out this little stone thing from inside it. A magic core, she called it. Size of a thumbnail, buzzing with weak, janky energy. Compared to the ocean inside me, it was like comparing an AA battery to a nuclear power plant. But hey, never pass up free stuff. That's the Guida code. Into the pocket it went. We need to move, Lena said, scanning the sky. These vultures travel in packs, right? More ugly murder birds potentially incoming. Lovely. But first, weapon upgrade. I walked back to that tree I'd ripped out of the ground and examined it. Trunk was cracked from hitting the bird, but still mostly solid. Good weight. Good length. I grabbed some tough vines, wrapped the cracked section tight, then used a sharp flint to carve some gnarly spikes into the thick end. Behold, the Guida Special. A 3-meter wooden war club covered in pointy bits. Was it elegant? No. Was it sophisticated? Absolutely not. Did it look like something a caveman would use to settle a parking dispute? 100%. I slung it over my shoulder like a lumberjack who'd given up on life and embraced chaos. Lena stared at my creation. Her mouth twitched. She wanted to say something. She chose not to. Smart girl. We moved out. Lena on point, me in the middle with my ridiculous club, Blood Fong bringing up the rear like the world's scariest rear guard. The jungle got thicker, darker, older. Trees the size of apartment buildings. Roots like highways. The air smelled ancient. And Lena? She was an incredible guide. Every few minutes, she'd spot something I completely missed. Bristlemaned boar tracks. They travel in herds, very aggressive, go around. That mud smells like swamp lizard ambush territory. Stay away from the water. Watch the vines overhead. Those are strangler vines. They react to movement. I was absorbing everything like a sponge. My special forces training gave me the framework, and Lena was filling in the local encyclopedia. Within an hour, I was already combining her jungle knowledge with my military recon techniques into something better than either alone. My enhanced half-orc senses were helping too. I couldn't identify specific creatures by smell like Lena, but my danger radar was going nuts in this place, pinging constantly, which led to my coolest moment of the day. Lena was about to step onto a patch of forest floor covered in thick, dead leaves. Looked completely normal, but something in my gut screamed at me. Too perfect, too even, too. Please step here. I grabbed her arm. Wait, something's wrong down there. She looked confused. I don't see anything. Honestly, neither did I. But 10 years of bomb disposal and ambush detection had wired my brain to notice when normal looks a little too normal. I poked the leaves with my war club. The stick punched through into nothing. The leaves collapsed, revealing a deep pit lined with sharpened wooden stakes at the bottom. An old hunting trap, perfectly camouflaged by years of leaf fall. Lena went white. If she'd stepped there, she'd have been a catgirl kebab. How did you know? She asked, looking at me like I'd just performed another miracle. I shrugged. Gut feeling. Her respect for me went up another notch. I could see it in her eyes. This guy is strong, heals like a cheat code, and has supernatural danger instincts. What can't he do? Answer, magic. I can't do magic. But let's not bring that up right now. We kept going. Spotted some beautiful deer-like creatures with crystal antlers. My inner hunter immediately went, dinner, but Lena shut that down fast. Crystal horn deer. Their antlers are worth a fortune for magic potions, but they're insanely fast, and those crystal horns cause wounds that won't heal properly. Not worth the risk. I filed that under, hunt later when I have better gear and fewer things trying to kill me. The list was getting long. The deeper we went, the more the forest changed. Trees went from big to enormous to, okay, this is just showing off. Some of these trunks needed 20 people to hug around. The bark had this weird bronze metallic sheen. The roots were so massive they created their own mini landscapes, valleys, bridges, caves, all made of wood. The air felt thick with something old and powerful, like the forest itself was watching us. We're reaching the edge of the ancient tree hills, Lena whispered, genuinely reverent. These trees are thousands of years old. Some say they have faint consciousness. Shamans come here to find wood for their staffs and to meditate. Cool. Sentient trees. Added to the list of things in this world that might kill me. And then, something happened inside me. That bottomless ocean of chaos power, the one that's been sitting in my gut like a sleeping kraken, it rippled. Just barely. Like something out there had pinged it. A tiny signal, a faint magnetic pull coming from somewhere to my left. It was like a compass needle twitching. Subtle. Almost imaginary. But real. I stopped walking. What is it? Lena's blades were instantly half-drawn. That direction, I pointed left into a particularly dark, tangled section of megatrees. Something's calling. I can't explain it. Anyone else would have said, you're imagining things. But Lena had seen me detect invisible pit traps and accidentally perform god-tier healing magic, so she just nodded and followed me into the dark. We crept forward. The ancient forest got quieter and quieter. Even the bugs shut up. The air was thick with a silent, solemn energy, like being inside a cathedral made of wood. Then we found it. In front of the most massive tree I'd seen yet. Bronze bark, 20-person trunk, roots like sleeping dragons. I felt the pull again. Strongest here, coming from the roots. Lena felt it too. There's something in there, she breathed. Be careful. Ancient trees sometimes have guardians. I parked Bloodfong on lookout duty and squeezed with Lena into a narrow gap between the giant roots. Dark, earthy, smelling like centuries of growth. And there, nestled against the deepest root, was a plant, half a foot tall, jade white, almost translucent, like it was carved from living gemstone. 3 oval leaves with glowing white veins that pulsed gently like breathing. And in the center, cradled like a precious egg, was a single fruit. Pigeon egg-sized, smooth as glass, deep jade green, with milky starlight swirling inside it like a tiny galaxy in slow motion. It was the most beautiful thing I'd seen in either life. Lena's jaw literally dropped. Her cat ears went straight up. Her tail went rigid. Ancient tree heart marrow, she screamed. This is legendary. This is supposed to be AMYTH. What does it do? I asked, already feeling my inner power humming softly in resonance with the fruit. Not violently, not chaotically, but comfortably. Like two old friends recognizing each other. Lena was practically vibrating with excitement. Only trees over 5,000 years old can produce these, and only under perfect conditions. For shamans and druids, it's the ultimate treasure. It massively strengthens spiritual power, makes it easier to commune with nature's spirits and elements, and might even unlock natural magic abilities. And the best part, it's gentle. Pure energy, zero side effects. Perfect for stabilizing and nurturing the mind. She spun to face me, eyes blazing. Gwada, this is exactly what you need. It could help you control your chaos ocean, or at least make your mental power strong enough to start building foundations for control. I stared at the fruit. The universe had just handed me, personally, the exact item I needed most. Like a video game dropping the perfect loot at the perfect moment. Was this luck? Fate? The ancient tree reading my situation and going, "Here kid, you need this more than I do." I didn't care. Gimme. I reached out carefully. My fingertip touched the fruit. It was cool and smooth and trembled slightly, like it was alive. Inside me, the ocean stirred, but gently, peacefully. A warm, comfortable ripple instead of the usual terrifying tsunami. The fruit liked me. Or at least, it didn't hate me. I'd take it. I plucked it carefully. The little galaxy inside swirled faster, like it was excited. How do we split this? I asked Lena. Because fair is fair, we found it together. She shook her head, and I could see it cost her. She wanted that fruit. Her eyes were hungry for it. But she pushed through. This is your find, Gwada. Your instinct led us here. And you need it way more than I do. One leaf is enough for me. The leaves contain pure natural energy too. It'll help me with my wind step and shadow techniques. I'll be digesting that for months. I respected that. Seriously respected it. Turning down a legendary treasure because someone else needs it more? That takes character. I plucked one of the 3 leaves and handed it to her. She wrapped it in soft leather like it was made of diamond and tucked it against her heart. The smile on her face was worth more than the fruit. I owe you one, I said. You saved my life from goblins, she replied. We're even. We were not even. Not by a long shot. But I let it go. I held the ancient tree heart marrow in my palm, feeling its gentle warmth, watching the little stars orbit inside. This tiny jade fruit might be the key to everything, controlling my insane power, not exploding randomly, not being a walking monster magnet, and maybe, finally, becoming something more than a caveman with a big stick. Day 3 progress report. Punched a bird to death. Built a war club. Saved Lena from a spike pit with pure vibes. Found a legendary mythical fruit that literally nobody believed existed. Still fighting monsters with a wooden stick despite containing god-level power. This world keeps trying to kill me, and I keep finding treasure in the wreckage. I'll take those odds. So you know that magical fruit I just found? The one that was going to solve all my problems? The legendary treasure that the universe kindly placed in my path like a gift from the gods. Yeah, the tree wanted it back. The second I tucked that fruit into my clothes, the entire root system around us went from ancient and peaceful to, excuse me, that's mine, in about half a second. Roots started writhing like snakes. The air turned ice cold and hostile. The exit? Sealed shut instantly. Vines and roots knitting together like a living door slamming in our faces. The Guardian, Lena screamed. We triggered the defense mechanism. Oh great. The tree has security. The ground in front of us exploded, and out of the dirt rose something straight out of a nightmare nature documentary. A 3-meter-tall humanoid figure made entirely of twisted ancient roots, iron-hard bark, and glowing moss. 2 arms ending in bronze-colored wooden spear points. And where its face should have been, 2 empty eye sockets burning with cold green fire. An ancient tree guardian, living wood with an attitude problem. And it was furious. Those green flame eyes locked directly onto me, specifically onto the fruit in my pocket, with an expression that clearly said, "Give that back, or I will mulch you." Then it swung. One massive wooden spear arm came crashing down at my skull like a falling skyscraper. The wind pressure alone made my lungs seize up. I had about a quarter of a second to react. I screamed, grabbed my war club, and blocked overhead with everything I had. Boom. The impact was like getting hit by a building. The ground under my feet cracked and cratered. My knees buckled. My palms exploded with pain, skin split, blood everywhere. My beautiful war club, my baby, my hand-carved wooden masterpiece, cracked from top to bottom like it was made of crackers. This thing was on a completely different level. Blood fawn, child's play, goblins, insects, the vulture, a joke. This guardian hit harder than anything I'd encountered in either lifetime. This was a boss fight, and I was severely underleveled. Lena was having her own problems. Root tentacles were whipping at her from every direction, and her blades could barely scratch them. Blood Fong was trapped outside, howling and smashing against a wall of roots that wouldn't budge. The guardian stabbed at my chest with its other arm. I rolled sideways, barely, but a root erupted from underground and coiled around my left leg like a python. Squeezed so hard I heard my bones creak. I smashed it with my club, barely dented it. Trapped. Outmatched. Exit blocked. Allies cut off. I was going to die. In a tree. Killed by a tree. The most embarrassing death in 2 lifetimes. And that's when my body decided to have another magical episode. Except this time, it wasn't a healing hiccup or a tiny intimidation pulse. This was the big one. Panic, rage, desperation, survival instinct. All of it crashed together inside me like an emotional super collider. And that unstable ocean of chaos power didn't just leak this time. It erupted. Kaboom. Not green healing light. Not a gentle pulse. A wave of dark, chaotic, reality-warping energy that exploded from every pore of my body like a magical nuclear detonation. The kind of power that made the air itself twist and scream. The Tree Guardian, 3 meters of ancient, iron-hard living wood that had probably stood for millennia, dissolved. Like sugar in boiling water. Didn't fight. Didn't resist. Just ceased to exist. The green flames in its eyes flickered once in what I can only interpret as, oh no, and then winked out. Its entire body crumbled to powder in less than a second. The root walls, gone. The grasping tentacles, dust. A huge section of the ancient tree's root system, erased. Like someone had taken a cosmic eraser to reality. 1 second of power. Total annihilation of everything in range. And then the bill came due. BLEURGH. I spat out a massive spray of blood. And not just blood, blood with little glowing energy particles in it, which is never a good sign on the "am I dying" checklist. My skin cracked like dry pottery. My blood vessels went purple-black and bulged out everywhere. I was bleeding from my eyes, ears, and nose simultaneously. My skull felt like it was being pulled apart from the inside. The energy hadn't been controlled. It had just detonated. And my body was the bomb casing. A bomb casing that was now falling apart. I felt myself falling backward. Consciousness shredding like wet paper. The last thing I registered was Lena screaming my name and catching me before I hit the ground. Then things got. Okay, I was only semi-conscious for this part, so bear with me. What I'm about to describe is pieced together from what I felt, what I figured out afterward, and the extremely awkward conversation Lena and I have been carefully not having since. So apparently, even after the big explosion, there was still a tion of chaotic energy rampaging around inside me, tearing up my insides like a bull in a china shop. I was dying. Fast. My body was literally cracking apart from the pressure. Minutes, maybe seconds, from going boom permanently. Lena knew some ancient, borderline forbidden technique from her clan's oldest records. Something about creating an energy bridge between 2 people through. Very close physical contact. One person acts as an overflow valve, drawing off the excess energy to save the other. I was unconscious. I had no say in this decision. And Lena made it anyway. She saved my life. That's the important part. She used her own body as a lightning rod for my out-of-control power, channeling it through herself to stop it from tearing me apart. It involved maximum proximity. And apparently her lips on mine served as the connection point for the energy transfer, because of course it did. This world's emergency medical procedures are very different from what I'm used to. Was it the most awkward way to not die? Yes. Was I conscious enough to appreciate it? Barely. Did my survival instincts make me grab onto her like a drowning man grabs a life preserver? Apparently, yes, because when things calmed down I was told I'd been holding on pretty tight. The energy flooded into Lena, and from what I gathered later, it was not a gentle experience for her. Imagine trying to drink from a fire hydrant, except the water is made of liquid chaos and lightning. It nearly tore her apart too, but here's the thing. That raw primordial energy, while painful, also rebuilt her, shattered her limits and reassembled them bigger. Her muscles, bones, energy channels, spiritual power, everything got demolished and reconstructed stronger. Like the world's most painful full-body upgrade. Eventually, the energy storm passed. My body stabilized. The cracks in my skin started healing. The ocean went quiet again, like a guilty dog pretending it didn't just destroy the furniture. I sank into deep, unconscious sleep. Now, I don't know exactly how long I was out, or exactly what happened in the quiet aftermath. But when I eventually pieced things together, here's what I understood. Lena saved my life using an ancient technique that she'll probably never fully explain to me without turning the color of a tomato. In the process, she absorbed enough of my overflow power to undergo a complete physical and magical transformation, going from talented warrior to something several tiers higher in one agonizing session. She apparently covered me with moss and leaves, got dressed, sat down next to me, and started meditating on her absolutely insane new power level while I snored peacefully, completely unaware that anything had happened. Bloodfawn calmed down outside once the crisis passed, probably doing that confused head tilt dogs do when they hear a weird noise. And the ancient tree? Well, it was missing a significant chunk of its root system now. A several thousand-year-old supernatural tree, partially deleted by one uncontrolled magical burp from a half-orc who couldn't even sense a campfire yesterday. So to summarize Day 3's evening session, found legendary fruit, got attacked by angry tree monster, accidentally nuked the tree monster with uncontrolled chaos power, nearly died from magical self-destruction, got saved by cat girl using ancient emergency intimacy technique, was unconscious for the entire romantic part. Typical Gua. Deluxe accidentally gave cat girl a massive power upgrade as a side effect. Will definitely never be able to make eye contact with Lena again. You know, in video games, there's usually a tutorial level, where you learn the basics in a safe environment before the real challenges begin. I appear to have skipped the tutorial and gone straight to, repeatedly almost dying while accidentally breaking the laws of nature. Cool. Very cool. Everything is fine. I woke up feeling like a brand new person. And I mean that literally. You know that feeling after the best sleep of your life, times 1,000? Every sense was dialed up to 11. I could hear tree sap flowing through branches 50 feet above me. I could smell mushrooms hibernating underground. I could even sense Lena's energy humming steadily nearby, like a warm engine. My body, flawless. Not a scratch, not a crack, not a single trace of that terrifying moment where I almost exploded like a magical piñata. The chaos ocean inside me was still there, still massive, still incomprehensible, but it felt calmer, like someone had thrown a blanket over a screaming baby. The ancient tree heart marrow fruit had dissolved into my core while I was unconscious, settling into my lower belly like a spiritual anchor, radiating this gentle, stabilizing warmth that was constantly smoothing out the rough edges of my chaotic power. My brain was sharp, clearest it had ever been in 2 lifetimes, like someone had cleaned my mental windshield with divine Windex. "You're awake," Lena said from nearby, her voice oddly husky. I turned to look at her and immediately noticed 3 things. 1. She was stronger. Noticeably. Her aura was different, denser, more powerful. Her skin practically glowed. Her eyes sparkled with new energy. 2. She couldn't look me in the eye. Her gaze kept darting away like a nervous butterfly. 3. Her face was the color of a ripe tomato. The Guardian? I started. "You vaporized it," she said quickly, clearly wanting to skip past certain topics. "Your power exploded, and it just dissolved. How do you feel?" "Amazing, actually. Best I've felt since arriving in this world." "Is it the fruit?" "Partly." Her blush deepened. She was physically incapable of looking at me. Now, I may be a caveman in this world, but I was a special forces caveman in my last one. I'm trained to notice details, and the details were screaming at me. Lena's sudden power boost, her inability to make eye contact, the faint energy traces on her skin, her whole vibe of something very significant happened while you were unconscious. My body being not just healed, but stabilized in ways that shouldn't have been possible from just eating a fruit. I grabbed her wrist. She flinched like I'd touched her with a live wire. "Lena, what happened after I passed out?" "The whole truth." She tried to pull away. Couldn't. Tried to look anywhere except my face. Failed. Her ears were flat. Her tail was doing that nervous swish thing, and she was blushing so hard I was worried about her blood pressure. It was just a technique. A clan secret. Energy transfer. "You were dying, okay?" The words came tumbling out in a defensive avalanche. Your power was tearing you apart from the inside, and I had to create an energy bridge, and the only way to do that was through maximum proximity contact. I stared at her. She stared at the ground. The pieces clicked together like a very spicy puzzle. Ancient energy transfer technique. Maximum physical contact. Yin-yang balance. Her massive power upgrade. My mysterious stabilization. Her current state of wanting to evaporate from embarrassment. Oh, Lena, I said slowly. Did you? Yes, okay. Yes, she burst out. Eyes glistening. Chin raised defiantly even as her whole face burned crimson. You were going to die? Your body was cracking apart. What was I supposed to do, watch? And I got stronger from it, so it wasn't. I didn't lose. It was mutual benefit, and you don't owe me anything, and I pulled her into my arms. She squeaked. Actually squeaked. The fierce leopard warrior who'd slaughtered goblins without blinking made a sound like a startled hamster. Thank you, Lena, I said quietly, right next to her ear. Her sensitive cat ear twitched so hard it tickled my nose. You saved my life. I owe you everything. She was trembling in my arms. From embarrassment, from residual emotion, from the sheer intensity of everything that had happened. Her face was buried in my chest, and I could feel the heat radiating off her cheeks through my skin. Then, because I am who I am, I added, so this energy transfer technique. It worked really well. My power's more stable, you're stronger. Seems like it would be irresponsible not to continue the treatment, right? For medical purposes. Mutual benefit. Very scientific. Her head snapped up. Those amber eyes went wide. You can't just. I kissed her. Her protest died somewhere between unacceptable and MMPH. Her fists pushed against my chest for approximately 1.5 seconds before they stopped pushing and started grabbing. Her tail went rigid, then went absolutely haywire. When we finally came up for air, she was panting, dazed, and had completely forgotten what she was arguing about. See, I grinned. Your body agrees with the treatment plan. You are the most shameless, she sputtered, but she didn't pull away. In fact, her arms were wrapped around my neck and showed zero intention of letting go. I scooped her up. She weighed nothing to me now, and headed deeper into the cave where the moss was soft and thick. Bloodfang, guard the door, I called over my shoulder. From outside came a resigned grumble and the sound of a massive wolf body repositioning itself to block the entrance. Bloodfang was apparently very familiar with this assignment already. Good boy. So began what I can only describe as the greatest training montage in the history of any world. Here was the deal. The dual cultivation actually worked. Like, legitimately, scientifically, magically, provably worked. Every session created an energy circuit between us. My chaotic overflow got channeled into Lena in controlled doses. Her body absorbed and refined it, getting stronger each time. Meanwhile, the process of guiding the energy transfer was training my mental control, slowly, incrementally teaching me to steer the chaos instead of just surviving it. For me, each session was like adding another brick to the dam holding back my ocean. Slow progress, but real. My spiritual control improved. The random dangerous energy leaks decreased. The foundation for actual power management was being laid, one brick at a time. For Lena, she was transforming. Every day stronger, faster, more powerful. Her energy reserves multiplied. Her reflexes became superhuman even by beastkin standards. She was evolving from elite warrior to walking natural disaster in real time. Our daily schedule looked something like this. Morning, wake up, eat, go hunting to test our new abilities. Me with my upgraded war club, now reinforced with vines and studded with sharp beast fangs, smashing things with even more force than before. One swing could shatter the bones of a bristle-maned boar, those things Lena had warned me to avoid just days ago. Now I was hunting them for breakfast. Lena was even scarier. She moved like actual lightning, a black blur with blades. Most of the time, animals were dead before they realized she was there. She'd appear behind a creature, blades already sheathed, and the thing would fall apart 3 seconds later. She was basically an anime character now. Afternoon, explore, gather resources, scout the area, share information. Lena taught me about this world, the different beast tribes, human kingdoms, magical systems, politics. I told her stories from a faraway land, Earth, heavily edited. She was fascinated by concepts like pizza and television, evening, dual cultivation, for purely medical and strategic purposes. Obviously, Very professional. Look, I'm not going to go into details because a gentleman doesn't kiss and tell. But I will say this. Lena went from blushing at eye contact to actively enthusiastic participant in a remarkably short time frame. Leopard people, it turns out, have a certain intensity. Once they commit to something, the cave walls heard things. Blood Fawn learned to sleep with its paws over its ears. The days blurred together into this insane routine of fighting, eating, training, and training more. Our relationship went from awkward allies to can't keep hands off each other to something genuinely deep and real. I'd hold her at night and we'd talk for hours about our pasts, our fears, our dreams for the future in this crazy world. She made me feel less alone in this strange new life. I think I did the same for her. It was like a honeymoon in the apocalypse. Paradise in a cave. The best 2 weeks of my new life. And then, naturally, reality came knocking. Lena came back from a scouting run one evening looking grim. Gwada, we need to leave. Now, she'd found tracks. Wolf cavalry tracks. Lots of them. Heading in our general direction. The Bloodscar clan, led by some psychopath chief named Guard, had apparently learned about their goblin squad getting wiped out and was expanding their search perimeter. Our cozy love cave was uncomfortably close to the search zone. Also, Lena's face went nuclear red again. My mating season is approaching. My scent will change and become trackable. I stared at her for a second, then burst out laughing so hard I almost fell over. She punched my arm, which actually hurt now given her upgrades, but I pulled her close anyway. More reason to keep up the dual cultivation, I said with my most innocent face. She called me 6 different words in beast language that I'm pretty sure were all variations of shameless pervert, but she was smiling. I looked out at the darkening jungle. Our little paradise was ending. Out there was a hostile world full of wolf armies, tribal politics, monsters, and mysteries. My power was more stable, but far from controlled. We were strong, but far from invincible. But I had a war club with fangs in it, a power-leveled leopard girlfriend, an obedient demon wolf, and an ocean of god-tier chaos magic slowly coming under control. 2 weeks ago, I woke up naked and bleeding in a jungle with nothing. Now I was ready to go meet this world head-on. Watch out, Talaris. Guido is coming, and he's bringing his whole dysfunctional family. So picture the scene. Beautiful sunset, cozy campfire, a whole roasted forest goat sizzling on the spit, me shirtless and looking fantastic, if I do say so myself, Lena sharpening her blades beside me with that look she gets when she's pretending she's not staring at my abs. Life was good. Our little power couple boot camp had been paying off big time. I was stronger, more stable, more in control. She was faster, deadlier, practically vibrating with new energy. We were the jungle's scariest couple, and we had a routine: hunt, eat, train, sleep, repeat. But Blood Fawn was acting weird. Instead of begging for meat scraps like usual, this wolf had zero dignity when food was involved. It was curled up in the shadows at the edge of the cave, shaking, twitching, making these low, pained groaning sounds like it had the world's worst stomachache. Its muscles were rippling under its fur in ways that muscles should not ripple. What's wrong with it? Lena asked, frowning. Her upgraded energy senses were pinging something strange. Not injury, not sickness, but something. Building. I watched more carefully. This wasn't pain exactly. It was more like pressure. Like something inside Blood Fawn was trying to get out. Then it hit me. For the past 2 weeks, Lena and I had been doing our dual cultivation every night, and every session leaked tiny amounts of ultra-pure magical energy into the surrounding area. And who had been sleeping right outside the door this entire time, marinating in our magical runoff like a steak in a cosmic sauce? Blood Fawn. Every single night. For 2 weeks straight. Plus, the ancient tree heart marrow had been passively radiating stabilizing life energy the whole time too. My wolf had been accidentally soaking in premium magical juice for 14 days, and now it was about to. Oh whoa. Blood Fawn's head snapped up, and it let out a howl that was not a normal wolf howl. It was deeper, older, more primal, like the sound of something ancient waking up after a million-year nap. Its dark red fur started darkening in real time, shifting to a deep, almost purple-black. Each individual hair hardened, standing up like steel needles. And then its head started changing. That massive scar over its dead left eye began glowing. Pulsing with dark red light like lava was flowing underneath the skin. Its good right eye shifted color from amber to molten gold, burning with power and hunger and something that screamed, I am no longer just a wolf. It's evolving. Lena shouted, jumping to her feet. Apparently, magical beast evolution was super rare in this world. Usually required eating legendary treasures, near-death combat experiences, or centuries of energy accumulation. A wolf just passively absorbing leaked bedroom energy and leveling up? Unheard of. But here we were. My wolf was Pokemon evolving in real time because I'd been too enthusiastic about dual cultivation within earshot. The process was clearly agonizing. Blood Fong was thrashing, clawing trenches into the ground, bones audibly cracking and reforming inside its body. Its skeleton was literally reshaping itself, stretching, thickening, reinforcing. Muscles tore and rebuilt bigger. It was like watching a car get disassembled and reassembled as a tank in real time while the car screamed. It needs energy. Lots of energy, Lena yelled. If the evolution runs out of fuel, it'll fail and the blood backlash could kill it. No hesitation. I ripped the biggest, most energy-dense leg off our roasting goat and shoved it at Bloodfong's face. The wolf was so deep in transformation instinct that it barely registered what it was eating. Just inhaled the entire leg, bones and all, crunching through everything like a wood chipper. Not enough. Nowhere near enough. I dug out every magic core I'd collected, the vulture core, a couple others from our hunting trips. Crushed them all in my fist like grapes. Tried to channel the released energy into Blood Fong through my palm on its forehead. Bad idea. The magic core energy was too wild, too chaotic. Blood Fong howled in pain, its body convulsing harder, like pouring gasoline on a bonfire. Too messy. It's interfering with the evolution, Lena cried. Okay, plan C, the nuclear option. I had an ocean of the purest, most powerful magical energy in existence sitting inside me. I couldn't use it for attacks, couldn't shape it into spells, could barely keep it from killing me on a daily basis. But what if I could skim the absolute thinnest, most gentle layer off the very top and feed that to Blood Fong? Not the chaotic storm currents, not the explosive overflow, just the calmest, purest, most fundamental drop of life energy I could find. Cover me, I told Lena. I'm going in. I sat cross-legged next to my thrashing wolf, closed my eyes, and went deep. Past the churning chaos, past the storm currents, down to where the ocean was stillest. And there, like scooping a single dewdrop from the surface of a lake during a hurricane, I extracted the tiniest thread of golden energy. Pure, undifferentiated, primordial life force at its most basic level. It took everything I had. Sweat poured down my face. My brain felt like it was being squeezed through a straw. But I got it. I pushed that single golden thread through my palm into Blood Fong's skull. The effect was instant and dramatic. A woo! Blood Fong unleashed a howl so powerful it shook leaves off trees. But this wasn't a pain howl. This was I just became a god howl. Dark red magical runes exploded across its entire body. Ancient, complex patterns flowing out from the scar on its forehead, spreading like living tattoos across its fur, converging on its back to form the image of a snarling wolf head. Its body swelled, bigger, denser, more terrifying. Its shoulder height rose to my chest. Its claws elongated into metallic razors that carved stone like butter. Its fur went full dark purple-black, each hair hard as a needle. And when it opened its mouth to breathe, the air shimmered with heat. A faint sulfur smell. Its breath was literally hot. My wolf had gone from really big, scary wolf to demonic hellhound from the deepest pit of the underworld. Evolution, complete. Beast general rank, achieved. Blood mutation, activated. Awesome factor, off the charts. Blood Fong stood up on its new, upgraded legs, and I swear the ground trembled. It looked at its own claws with this, oh hello, expression that only a predator discovering it just became twice as deadly can make. Then it looked at me. The awe was still there, deeper than ever, because it had felt that golden energy and understood on a primal level just how absurdly powerful its source was. But now there was something else too. Gratitude so deep it was practically worship, and loyalty so absolute it was carved into its DNA. It walked over and pressed its massive head against my arm, rumbling with this deep, contented purr. 1,000-pound killing machine doing the puppy lean. Some things never change, no matter how many evolutions you go through. Then it turned to Lena and gave her a dignified nod. Progress. It used to growl at her. Now she'd been upgraded to acknowledged pack member, practically a compliment coming from Blood Fong. Good boy. I laughed, roughing up its neck fur. which now felt like grabbing a bundle of steel wires. Let's see what you've got. Bloodfang didn't need to be told twice. It launched forward, and I literally lost track of it. 1 second it was next to me. Next second it was 20 meters away with only a dark red afterimage showing where it had been. Double its previous speed. Easy. It swiped a boulder the size of a dinner table. The boulder shattered into gravel. Its claws went through solid rock like a hot knife through warm butter. And then, the grand finale. It opened its jaws and spat out a fireball. A dark red, smoking, actual fireball that hit a tree and exploded in a burst of flames. My wolf could breathe fire now. My wolf breathes fire. Lena and I stared at each other. She looked like she'd just witnessed a religious event. I was grinning so wide my face hurt. So, I said casually, our nighttime training sessions accidentally created a fire-breathing demon wolf. I'd call that a successful side effect. Lena blushed, punched my arm, which hurt now. She was scary strong, and muttered something about me being impossible. But she was smiling too. Team status update. Me, half-orc berserker with infinite healing, god-tier magic reserves, and a big stick with teeth in it. Lena, super-powered leopard assassin who moves faster than eyesight. Bloodfang, fire-breathing beast general mega wolf with ancient blood mutation. We were basically a raid boss party at this point. But then, because the universe has incredible comedic timing, my ears twitched. Far away, west, barely audible even with my enhanced hearing. Wolf howls, rhythmic drumming, angry orc shouts. The Bloodscar clan. Coming this way. Lena's scouting report confirmed. The wolf cavalry was expanding their search, and they were getting close. The campfire crackled. Bloodfang stopped showing off and swung its molten gold eye toward the west, lips peeling back from newly enhanced fangs, a low, threatening growl vibrating through the ground beneath our feet. Even it could smell them now. Enemies, carried on the wind. Lena's face went serious. They found us. I stood up slowly, picked up my war club, felt its weight, familiar, deadly mine. Our cozy little honeymoon cave? Over. The training arc? Complete. Time to see if all that dual cultivation was worth it. I smiled. Not a nice smile. The kind of smile that would make smart people run in the opposite direction. Perfect timing, I said quietly. Bloodfang just evolved, and every new weapon needs a test drive. Somewhere out in that dark jungle, a wolf army was marching toward us, led by a psychopath chief who had no idea what was waiting for him. Poor guys. They thought they were the hunters. They had no idea what was coming. The wolf army found us. Took them long enough. I could hear them coming from a mile away, howling, drumming, stomping through the jungle with all the subtlety of a marching band in a library. Real stealth operators, these guys. Top-notch tactical approach. Very scary. I was shaking in my non-existent boots. At least 10 riders, plus goblin infantry, Lena reported, ears twitching like satellite dishes. I picked up my war club and rested it on my shoulder. Bloodfang was drooling so aggressively that its saliva was literally dissolving the dirt beneath it. Upgraded acid spit. Nice. Perfect, I said. Bloodfang skipped dinner anyway. They came out of the tree line like a budget horror movie. First wave, about 20-something goblins, slightly better equipped than the last batch. Actual shields this time, slightly less rusty weapons, led by some idiot with colorful feathers in his hair who clearly thought he was important. They spread out around our cave entrance in what I can only describe as organized chaos, which is generous. It was mostly chaos. Then came the main event. 11 massive gray-black wolves, each carrying a warrior in studded leather armor with red war paint on their faces. Steel spears. Real battle axes. These weren't goblin-level scrubs. These were actual trained fighters. The wolf cavalry of the Bloodscar clan. Their captain rode the biggest wolf. Had a double-bladed battle axe crusted with old blood. The type of guy who collected ears as trophies and thought it made him interesting. He looked at Lena like she was a piece of meat on display. Then he looked at me, specifically my human-looking face and my primitive wooden war club, and his expression turned into pure, condescending amusement. That's them, he sneered. A hairless half-breed mongrel and a Black Panther chick? She's pretty wild, though. We'll bring her back for Chief Guard. Or maybe we'll have fun with her ourselves first. His boys all laughed. The goblins cackled. Real comedy hour out here. Then he pointed his axe at me. Mongrel, kneel, kowtow, hand over the woman and your wolf. Cut off one of your own arms. Maybe I'll let you live as the lowest slave in the tribe. Lena was shaking with rage beside me, blades drawn, ready to murder. And me? I laughed. Out loud. Couldn't help it. The audacity of this man. The audacity. What's so funny? Captain Compensation snarled. I cleaned my ear with one finger, nice and casual. I'm laughing because you talk a lot of garbage for a guy riding a dog. Your whole squad combined couldn't handle what I ate for breakfast. And your chief? Not worth the dirt on my woman's shoes. I set my war club down gently. The thud echoed through the clearing like a funeral bell. Since you came all this way, you might as well leave your lives and your wolves here. My wolf hasn't eaten yet. I patted Bloodfang. Bloodfang, bless its dramatic little heart, unleashed a roar so powerful the trees shook. Its evolved beast general aura exploded outward, mixed with sulfur heat, and every single enemy wolf flinched backward whimpering. The riders' faces went from smug to, wait, what is that thing, in about half a second. Kill them. The captain screamed, embarrassed. Chop the male to pieces. Take the female alive. And so began the most one-sided fight in the history of this forest. Round 1, Goblin Javelins versus. My chest 20 goblins threw spears at me. I didn't dodge, didn't block, didn't even flinch, just flexed. Thunk, thunk, thunk. The spears hit my skin and bounced OFF. Left little white marks, like someone throwing pencils at a brick wall. King Kong Bloodline Defense, online. The goblins stared at their hands, then at me, then at their hands again. Yeah, that just happened. Round 2, Wolf Captain versus. My club the captain charged first, swinging his big fancy battle axe at my head with enough force to split a fully armored knight in half. I sidestepped, felt the wind slice my cheek. Close, but not close enough. And then I swung back. Not at the rider, at his wolf. Specifically, its belly. The soft part. Boom. The war club, loaded with every ounce of my King Kong strength, connected with the wolf's underside like a wrecking ball hitting a watermelon. Beast fangs on the club tore through flesh like it wasn't there. The entire wolf, plus rider, launched into the air and flew 5 meters before crash landing in a heap of guts and screaming. The wolf, dead on impact. Intestines on the outside now. The captain, broken arm, covered in his own mount's insides, face down in the dirt. First swing. First kill. Statement made. Round 3, everyone else versus. The 3 of us I didn't stop. Momentum is everything. Spun with the club and caught the next rider square in the chest. His spear tried to block. The spear snapped like a chopstick. The club kept going. Hit his chest. His ribcage basically imploded inward. He flew backward, spraying blood and organ bits, bowling over 3 goblins on the way down. 2 swings. 2 riders eliminated. 10 seconds into the fight. Meanwhile, Lena was doing her thing. And by her thing, I mean becoming invisible with knives. She was moving so fast that goblins were dying before they even registered she was there. A black blur, a flash of steel, 2 goblins grabbing their slit throats, and she was already 3 targets ahead. She was cutting through them like a lawn mower through dandelions. Bloodfang. Absolute carnage. It dove into the wolf pack like a bowling ball into pins. One enemy wolf tried to bite its leg. Bloodfang casually crushed its skull with a single paw swipe. Another lunged from the side. Bloodfang caught it by the throat, shook its head once, snap. Dead wolf ragdolled through the air like a chew toy. Then a rider tried to spear Bloodfang's eye. The spear bounced off its reinforced skull, leaving only sparks. Bloodfang reared up on its hind legs and brought both front paws down on the rider like twin sledgehammers. Studded leather armor crumpled like aluminum foil. Ribcage, gone. Rider, very, very dead. The whole fight was a massacre. We weren't fighting. We were performing a demonstration. I caught a rider trying to sneak up behind me. Didn't even need to turn around fully, just reverse swung the club into his wolf's spine. Crack. Wolf dropped. Rider tumbled. I stepped on his head. Pop. Next. Goblins couldn't hurt me. Literally could not pierce my skin. They'd run up, stab me in the back. Their weapons would bounce off, and they'd stand there with this confused expression for about 1 second before my club turned them into a green smear, or Lena appeared behind them like the angel of death. In maybe 3 minutes, maybe, 8 out of 11 wolf riders were dead. Most of the goblins were scattered across the clearing in various states of not alive anymore, blood and body parts everywhere. The surviving wolves were howling in terror, trying to run. The captain dragged himself out from under his dead wolf, broken arm dangling, and saw the apocalypse I'd made of his squad. You can't. I'm a centurion of the Bloodscar clan. Chief Gargwell. I was already walking toward him, club dragging behind me. carving a deep trench in the dirt. The sound was terrible, like a gravedigger sharpening his shovel. Your fangs, I said, my voice cold enough to frost glass, aren't as hard as mine. Stay back. If you kill me, the chief will. Don't worry, I smiled. Not a kind smile. He'll be joining you soon. I raised the club. No, crunch. And that was that. The last 2 riders and handful of surviving goblins broke and ran screaming into the jungle. They made it about 30 seconds before Lena and Bloodfang caught them. The screams were brief. Then, silence. I stood in the middle of a clearing that looked like a slaughterhouse had exploded. Bodies, wolf carcasses, broken weapons, green and red blood soaking into every inch of dirt. Me in the center, covered head to toe in gore, club resting on my shoulder, breathing steady. Bloodfang trotted back, licking its claws like it just had a light snack. Lena materialized from the shadows, barely a drop of enemy blood on her. She was that clean with her kills. Efficiency goals. I flicked a chunk of something unidentifiable off my club and stared west, into the darkness where the Bloodscar clan's main territory waited. 11 wolf riders, 20+ goblins, sent to capture or kill us. Total fight duration, under 5 minutes. Our casualties, 0. Not a scratch, not even a bruise. Appetizer's done, I said quietly, eyes fixed on the horizon. Time for the main course. Somewhere out there, Chief Guard was about to have a very bad week. We just annihilated 11 wolf riders and a goblin platoon in under 5 minutes. And most people would think, okay, time to run away and hide. Most people are not Gwada. I stood there in the middle of the carnage, flicking mystery chunks off my war club, and my beautiful, brilliant, extremely reckless brain went, wait. That captain said the chief took the main army somewhere else. Which means their base camp is basically unguarded right now. A wolfish grin spread across my blood-splattered face. Never pass up a good deal, I muttered. Lena looked at me. She knew that look by now. I'm about to do something insanely stupid that will somehow work out. Look, you want to raid their camp? She said flatly. Not a question. I want to raid their camp, I confirmed cheerfully. Right now? After a fight. In the middle of the night. Just the 3 of us. Against an entire tribal settlement. Their empty tribal settlement. Big difference. She stared at me for 3 full seconds, then sighed the sigh of a woman who has accepted that her boyfriend is clinically insane, but also consistently lucky. Let's go, she said. I love this woman. We moved fast. No stealth, no caution, full sprint through the jungle. Bloodfang tracked the wolf rider's trail with its upgraded meganose, leading us along a well-worn path heading west. I was hauling my massive war club at a dead run, and somehow keeping pace with a leopard woman and a fire-breathing superwolf. King Kong cardio is no joke. About an hour later, we crested a low ridge, and there it was. The Bloodscar clan's home base. A valley settlement backed against a cliff wall, maybe 40 or 50 crude buildings, log cabins, hide tents, stone huts, big campfires in the center. A flimsy wooden fence around the perimeter with some sad-looking watchtowers. And manning those towers? A handful of sleepy old-timers who looked like they'd rather be literally anywhere else. The camp was mostly women, children, elderly, and wounded. The occasional goblin slave shuffling around. Almost 0 fighting-age males. It was like someone had gift-wrapped an entire village's treasury and left the front door open. Okay, I whispered, crouching behind the ridge. Here's the plan. Bloodfang. Go east side. Make as much noise as humanly possible. Roar, break trees. Howl, be terrifying. Draw every guard they have. Bloodfang's golden eye lit up. Finally, a job description it was born for. Once they're distracted, Lena and I hit the treasury from the west. In and out. 5 minutes. Bloodfang vanished into the darkness like a red ghost. 30 seconds later, chaos erupted on the east side. Roaring, crashing, trees snapping. Bloodfang was putting on the performance of a lifetime. I could hear goblin slaves screaming, alarm horns blowing, and every able body in camp scrambling toward the noise like moths to a very angry flame. Now, Lena and I went over the western fence like it wasn't there. Through the shadows, between buildings, silent as death. Lena's stealth was superhuman at this point. She moved through the camp like she was part of the darkness itself. I was a 2-meter wall of muscle somehow, making 0 noise, which honestly impressed even me. The target, a big reinforced wooden building next to the chief's tent, guarded by 2 old soldiers who were currently craning their necks toward the eastern commotion going. What the heck is that? Lena flicked a pebble at a barrel. Bonk. Both guards turned to look. I came from the other side like a freight train with abs. Thump, thump. 2 guards, 2 swings, 2 unconscious bodies sliding down the wall. Didn't even have time to squeak. I kicked the door in. Jackpot. The room was stuffed. Bundled furs on one side. Dried meat. Grain sacks. A weapon rack full of real iron swords and spears and arrows. Several locked chests in the corners. And the smell, metal, leather, herbs, magic cores, the smell of wealth. But the real treasure? Sitting on a busted workbench at the back of the room. Scrolls. Yellowed, beaten up, goblin-made blueprints. I unrolled the first one, and my heart nearly stopped. It was a technical drawing, crude, chaotic, covered in insane goblin annotations, of what could only be described as a magical firearm. A cylinder with a handle, some kind of firing mechanism, powered by magic crystals. The notes said things like iron stick, fire spray, crystal-powered, unstable. The next scroll, a bomb. A round sphere filled with unstable energy, labeled Big Boom. Careful. Another. A compact throwing device with an elaborate trigger mechanism and about 15 warnings about accidental self-destruction. Goblin weapons technology. Fantasy world military R&D. Crude, dangerous, probably designed by someone who thought. Safety testing. Meant whoever survives gets to build the next one, but based entirely on this world's materials and energy systems. Do you understand what this meant? I had modern military knowledge from my previous life. I knew how guns worked, how explosives worked, how every weapon system from a crossbow to a cruise missile was designed. But I couldn't build any of that because this world didn't have gunpowder, primer caps, or industrial manufacturing. These blueprints were the bridge. They showed me how to weaponize magic crystals instead of gunpowder, how to build firing mechanisms from fantasy materials, how to make things go boom using this world's energy sources. Combine goblin engineering with 21st century military knowledge, I could build weapons this world had never seen. These scrolls were worth more than everything else in the building combined. Grab every single blueprint. I hissed at Lena, barely containing my excitement. She didn't argue. Rolled them up, stuffed them into a waterproof leather tube, strapped it to her back. Professional. Meanwhile, I was speed looting like a video game character. Chest 1. Smash goes the lock. Full of magic cores. Dozens of them. Various sizes and colors, mostly low grade. But quantity has a quality all its own. All dumped into my big leather sack. Chest 2. Smash. Gold and silver coins with wolf head stamps. Crude jewelry. Fantasy cash. Everything went into the bag. Chest 3. Smash. Armor and weapons. The good stuff. Reserve gear or war trophies. Most too heavy to carry, but I grabbed a solid metal chest plate and arm guards that roughly fit my massive frame. Strapped them on over my ruined leather. Instant upgrade from prehistoric caveman to prehistoric caveman with actual armor. Fashion evolution. Total loot time, under 5 minutes. We were in and out like professionals. The Eastern distraction was winding down. Bloodfang had done its job and vanished before anyone could actually engage it. The guards were starting to drift back, confused and scared. Go, I whisper shouted. We ghosted out the west side, over the fence, into the dark forest, loaded down with enough loot to start our own civilization. Behind us, about 30 seconds after we cleared the tree line, someone finally walked into the treasury building and discovered the smashed door, the unconscious guards, and the completely emptied storage room. The screaming that followed was beautiful. Alarm gongs, panicked shouting, total institutional meltdown. The Bloodscar clan had just been robbed blind by 3 intruders while their entire army was away, and they didn't even know who did it. I paused at the top of the ridge, looked back at the chaos one last time, and smiled. Chief Guard, consider this a housewarming gift. From me to you. Bloodfang materialized from the shadows, tongue lolling, looking enormously pleased with itself. Lena appeared beside me, blueprint tube on her back, slightly out of breath but grinning. Tonight's haul, dozens of magic cores, a bag of gold and silver, real metal armor. Finally, not dressed like a caveman, dried food and supplies. Goblin weapons blueprints that could revolutionize warfare in this world. Enemy's dignity. Stolen, we disappeared into the night, rich, armed, and dangerous. Was Chief Guard going to be absolutely furious when he got home and found his treasury cleaned out? Absolutely. Was he going to come after us with everything he had? Probably. Was that going to be a problem? Looks at War Club. Looks at fire-breathing wolf. Looks at superpowered leopard girlfriend. Looks at bag of loot and revolutionary weapon blueprints. I'll manage. After we looted an entire tribal village blind, We found a cave with a waterfall on the other side of the ancient tree hills to hide in. Very scenic, very hidden, very chic, like 4 fugitives with a bag full of stolen gold. I spent the first night hugging those goblin blueprints like a teddy bear. Yeah, the drawings looked like they were made by a drunk kindergartner with anger issues, but the concepts were solid. Magic crystal-powered firearms, fantasy grenades, compact explosive launchers. My military brain was already redesigning everything with proper engineering principles. Give me a workshop and some materials, and I could change the face of warfare on this continent. But that was future stuff. For now, I strapped on the Wolf Clan metal chest plate I'd swiped, finally upgrading from shirtless caveman to shirtless caveman with armor. Lena said I looked intimidating. Bloodfong sniffed me and sneezed. I chose to take both as compliments. Life settled into a nice rhythm. Bloodfong ate approximately 3 deer per day because evolution apparently came with the appetite of a black hole. Lena was getting scarier by the hour. Her wind element sensitivity had reached the point where she moved without making any sound at all. Like Zero, she'd appear next to me, and I'd jump every single time. She thought it was hilarious. Then one afternoon, while I was practicing war club swings under the waterfall, very cinematic, very cool, definitely not showing off for Lena, we heard something. Clink, clink, clank. That stupid stubborn rock. Tui, this purity is garbage. Not even fit to be a doorstop for my furnace. Wasted half a day on this. A deep, gravelly voice, thick with accent, absolutely fuming with frustration. Sounded like someone gargling rocks while complaining to the universe. Lena and I exchanged looks. Dwarf? She whispered. Dwarf? My eyes lit up like Christmas morning. In my master plan for world domination, survival and prosperity, dwarves were essential. Master craftsmen, expert metalworkers, the only people on this continent who could potentially help me turn those goblin blueprints into real weapons. And one had just wandered into my backyard. The universe was being suspiciously generous lately. I was not going to question it. We crept through the trees and found him. About chest height on me, but built like a fire hydrant made of muscle. Arms thicker than my thighs. Wild reddish-brown hair braided into a million tiny braids with copper rings. Wearing a filthy leatherwork apron over everything. Currently beating the absolute daylights out of a rock face with a mining pick while cursing its entire geological ancestry. At his feet, a sad little pile of garbage quality ore. Clearly a prospector having the worst day of his career. Now, a normal person would just walk up and say hello. But I am not a normal person. I am Gwada, and I never enter a negotiation without a strategy. I put on my best, friendly innocent guy, smile, the one that Lena says makes me look like a wolf pretending to be a sheep, and called out in my terrible common tongue mixed with the 3 dwarf words Lena had taught me. Hey there, mighty son of the mountains. Having a rough day? Maybe we can help. The dwarf jumped, spun around, and grabbed a battle axe from the ground so fast I barely saw it. For a short guy, he was quick. His face was 90% beard with 2 suspicious blue eyes and a nose that had clearly been broken several times and also spent a lot of time near alcohol. Half-orc? Leopard girl? And that wolf? He squinted at our bizarre party. What kind of weird group is this? Stay back. I got nothing worth stealing. No. Total misunderstanding. I showed my empty hands, all smiles. Just passing through. Heard you having trouble with the ore. We know these mountains pretty well. Maybe we know where better veins are. Dangled the bait. Dwarves in quality or are like cats and laser pointers. Physically impossible to ignore. His eyes narrowed. Suspicious. But he didn't chase us off. Hook set. Now came phase 2 of the plan. The real play. I let out a theatrical, world-weary sigh. Man, bad mining days are the worst. You know what would make this better? A nice strong drink. Too bad there's nothing good out here. The magic word, drink. Those blue eyes sparked. His throat bobbed. His grip on the axe loosened by approximately 40%. But he played tough, huh? What would you know about good drink? Probably drink that watery grain swill or sour berry juice the other races call wine. And that's when I activated my ultimate weapon. Not my war club. Not my King Kong strength. Not my chaos magic ocean. My mouth. I leaned in with the expression of a man remembering his greatest love, and I started describing alcohol from Earth. In the most ridiculously over-the-top, fantasy-flavored language I could invent. My dear friend, I said, my voice dripping with false nostalgia. In my distant homeland, there exists a beverage known as Flame of the Abyss. Crystal clear as mountain spring water, yet it burns like liquid fire going down. The aroma carries for miles. One sip and you feel the weight of the earth itself and the fury of volcanic magma. It is said that warriors who drink it can hear the voices of their ancestors. The dwarf's eyes were getting wider with every word. His beard was actually quivering. And that's just the first one, I continued, warming up. There's another called Eternal Slumber, black as midnight, aged in oak barrels for 100 years. Smooth as silk, tastes of smoke, aged wood, wild fruit, and starlight itself. The aftertaste lingers for hours. The dwarf was now physically leaning toward me. His axe was hanging limply at his side. And then there's Thousand Flower Nectar, brewed from countless rare flowers and fruits using secret ancient methods. Colors like a rainbow. Fragrance so intoxicating that bees and butterflies follow the brewer. Sweet and crisp on the tongue. But the kick. Oh, the kick hits you like a giant's fist. 20 minutes later, I was basically doing a fantasy world wine commercial, and this dwarf was buying every word. He was practically drooling into his own beard. His pickaxe had been completely forgotten. His battle axe might as well have been a walking stick. Such drinks exist, he whispered reverently, like a man who'd just been told about heaven. Absolutely, I slapped my chest. Then I dropped the bomb, and I happened to possess the secret recipe for Flame of the Abyss. The dwarf literally leaped into the air. Recipe? You have the recipe? His name, it turned out, was Copperbeard Stonehammer, certified high-level craftsman from some place called Iron Forge Hold. Expert blacksmith and brewer. Basically the exact person I needed to meet, delivered to me by the comedy gods of this world. I played it cool, acted reluctant. Well, it's a treasured family heirloom. But you seem like a craftsman of rare talent. Perhaps fate brought us together. My eyes, accidentally, drifted to a plain-looking metal ring on his finger. My enhanced senses could feel faint spatial magic emanating from it. A storage ring, a pocket dimension on his finger, the fantasy equivalent of a magic backpack. That ring was worth more than everything we'd stolen from the Bloodscar clan combined. And this dwarf was going to trade it for booze instructions. I, reluctantly, agreed to share the recipe in exchange for the ring and friendship. Copperbeard nearly ripped his own finger off getting that ring to me. Done deal before I even finished my sentence. Then came the performance. I explained the basic principles of distillation. Heating fermented liquid, capturing the alcohol vapor, cooling it back into concentrated liquid. This was Chemistry 101 from Earth, but to a world that had never invented the concept? Revolutionary. Of course, I dressed it up in absurd mystical language. Harness the essence of earth fire. Purify under moonlight. 9 steams and 9 sunbakings. I deliberately fudged some details and got a few numbers wrong. Couldn't make it too easy, but the core concept of heat it, catch the steam, cool it down, get stronger booze, came through crystal clear. Copperbeard was scribbling on scrap leather like his life depended on it. His eyes were the size of saucers. He was muttering, "Genius. Why didn't I think of this? Heat. Condense. I could make something stronger than dwarven fire whiskey." When I finished, he looked at me like I was a divine being sent from the forge god himself. "Brother," he bellowed, crushing my hand in a grip that could bend steel. "You are my best friend. The ring is yours. Come to Iron Forge Hold anytime. Mention Copperbeard Stonehammer and you'll drink free for life." Then he grabbed his notes, abandoned his garbage or pile without a backward glance, and sprinted into the forest, presumably heading straight to his workshop to start experimenting. I've never seen a short, stocky man move that fast. "Come find me when there's trouble," he shouted over his shoulder as he disappeared. Dwarves keep their promises, and just like that, he was gone, leaving behind a pile of worthless rocks and one extremely smug half-orc. I slipped the ring on, focused my mind on it. Inside, about 3 cubic meters of storage space, currently containing some random or samples, tools, dried meat, and a small barrel of dwarf ale that smelled strong enough to strip paint. 3 cubic meters of invisible storage. On my finger, I immediately started stuffing everything in. Goblin blueprints? In. Magic cores? In. Gold and silver? In. Spare supplies? In. Suddenly I went from guy carrying a suspicious amount of loot to guy with nothing but a war club and a clean conscience. Lena walked up with that look. I just watched my boyfriend con a dwarf out of a magical artifact using fake wine commercials. Look. Those drinks you described, she said slowly. Mostly made up, I admitted with a grin, pulling her close. But the distillation science is real. Dwarves are master brewers. Give Copperbeard 6 months, and he'll actually invent something incredible. Then we show up, drink for free, and he thinks we're the generous ones. Everybody wins. Lena stared at me for a long moment. You are the most shameless, manipulative, brilliant idiot I have ever met. Thank you. Today's acquisitions: spatial storage ring, priceless dwarf ally who thinks I'm a booze prophet, standing. Invitation to drink free at Iron Forge Hold. Cost: 1 half-remembered chemistry lesson and 0 shame. Some people fight their way to power. Some people magic their way there. Me? I'm talking my way there. One scam at a time. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to go organize my new magic pocket dimension. The goblin bomb blueprints keep touching the dried meat, and it's making me nervous. It's time to go home. And by home, I mean the saddest, most pathetic, most depressing little settlement you've ever seen, populated by the most bullied subspecies of orc on the entire continent. The Blackstone tribe. My tribe. Well, Stanson's tribe. The place where the original owner of this body grew up hungry, beaten, and treated like garbage. Good times. I stood on the ridge at dawn, looking east toward the barren, rocky wasteland where the tribe scratched out its miserable existence. Lena was beside me, wind tousling her hair, cat ears twitching. Bloodfong sat on my other side, golden eye watching me with that creepy, I can read your emotions, look that evolved predators apparently have. Going back? Lena asked softly. Going back, I confirmed. I touched the storage ring on my finger, stuffed full of stolen loot, and felt the ocean of power humming in my gut. I cracked my knuckles. Some debts need collecting, and we need a base of operations. Lena didn't hesitate. Where you go, I go. Bloodfong bumped my arm with its enormous head. Same. All right then, let's go home. The closer we got, the worse it looked. Trees thinning out, rocks everywhere, soil so poor you couldn't grow a complaint in it. We passed some spots where medicinal herbs had been picked clean down to the roots. Desperation foraging. The kind of place where nature itself had given up. We ran into 2 women from the tribe digging up bitterroot vegetables. They were thin, ragged, exhausted. Then they looked up and saw us. A massive half-orc in metal armor carrying a war club covered in dried blood. A gorgeous leopard warrior with twin blades. A fire-breathing demon wolf the size of a horse. They dropped everything and ran screaming toward the village like we were the apocalypse. Fair reaction, honestly. The Blackstone tribe's camp was exactly as depressing as the memory suggested. Crooked wooden fence falling apart in 12 places. A few dozen mud-and-stick huts that looked like a stiff breeze would end them. Malnourished kids playing in the dirt. The whole place smelled like poverty and giving up. When we walked up to the front gate, all hell broke loose. Enemy attack. Some skinny kid on watch duty screamed and started banging a cracked gong so hard I thought he might break. Out came the defenders, and I used that word very generously. Maybe 40 half-orcs, mostly underfed, holding wooden spears, stone axes, and in some cases literally just pointy sticks. They huddled together in a terrified clump, trying to look intimidating and failing spectacularly. They looked at Lena, scared but also clearly thinking, wow. They looked at Bloodfong, pure, pants-wetting terror. They looked at me, complete system shut down. I could see their brains trying to compute. Half-orc features, yes, but way too big, way too muscular. Metal armor, giant weapon, radiating an aura of, I could sneeze and flatten this entire village. Does not compute. Error. Error. A guy with a scar on his face, apparently the current tough guy in charge, pointed a shaking wooden spear at me. Who are you? This is Blackstone territory. Outsiders not welcome. Leave or we'll make you, buddy. Your spear is literally a stick. I could floss my teeth with it, but I didn't say that. Instead, I took one step forward. Just one, and I let my physical aura loose. Not magic, not the chaos ocean, just the raw, primal pressure of a body carrying King Kong bloodline. Pure muscle, pure power, pure. I am the biggest thing in any room I enter. The front row of defenders staggered backward like they'd been hit by a wind. Several dropped their weapons. One guy's knees buckled. Scarface went white as snow. My name is Gwa de Stanson, I said, voice rolling across the camp like distant thunder. I'm home, Stanson. Murmuring. Confusion. A few older tribe members squinting at me, trying to match this walking god of war with their memory of a scrawny, beaten-up mixed-blood kid who disappeared months ago and was presumed dead. Impossible, Scarface shrieked. Stanson is dead. Who are you really? Okay, enough talking. Time for a demonstration. I walked over to the tribe's legendary test stone, a massive blue-black boulder, half buried in the ground near the entrance. According to Stanson's memories, this rock had been there forever. Warriors tried to move it to prove their strength. Nobody ever could. It was basically the tribe's version of Excalibur, except it was a rock, and instead of pulling it out you had to lift it, and nobody had ever succeeded. Every eye in the camp followed me. I stopped in front of the boulder, took a deep breath, let the King Kong bloodline sing through my muscles and bones. Felt that ancient power flood my arms, my back, my legs. No magic, just body. I crouched, wrapped my arms around the rock, dug my fingers into the stone so hard they left marks. Up, my muscles erupted. Every fiber, every tendon, every cell in my body fired simultaneously. The ground under my feet cracked and cratered. Dirt and pebbles flew. The boulder groaned, shifted, shook, and then it came out of the earth like a rotten tooth. Thousands of pounds of solid rock, ripped from the ground where it had sat for generations, rising higher, higher. I lifted it over my head, held it there, steady, like it was a beach ball. The entire tribe went silent. Not quiet, silent. The kind of silence where you can hear individual heartbeats. The kind of silence that happens when 50 people simultaneously forget how to breathe. Scarface's spear clattered to the ground. Then Scarface himself clattered to the ground, collapsed on his, but with a wet stain spreading across his pants. The man literally peed himself, in front of everyone, on what I will forever consider the greatest compliment I have ever received. Even Lena, who has seen me do ridiculous things, had her jaw slightly open and her eyes sparkling. Bloodfang lowered its head in respect, which for a fire-breathing demon wolf is basically a standing ovation. I stood there, boulder overhead, sunshine blocked, casting a shadow over the entire crowd like some kind of mythological titan. Anyone still doubt who I am? Nothing. Anyone want to be not welcoming to me? Absolute nothing. Then someone in the back started crying. The ancestors sent him. It's a miracle. Stanson is back. With the power of the gods, and one by one, then in groups, then all at once, the entire tribe dropped to their knees. Weapons abandoned, heads bowed, bodies trembling. Total, unconditional surrender to raw, undeniable power. I set the boulder back down. The ground shook. I dusted off my hands like I'd just moved a piece of furniture. Now then, I said casually, "Where's Bark? And where's Chief Cole?" Bark, one of the few decent guys from Stanson's memories, the one who'd secretly slipped him food and stopped beatings when he could, was apparently out hunting. Old Chief Cole was sick, bedridden, being tended by the tribe's elderly shaman, Mora. I went to see the chief first. His hut smelled like herbs and dying. The old man was barely alive, lying on straw, thin as paper. The shaman Mora tried to block me with a bone staff. "Brave woman. Stupid move, but brave. Who are you?" she demanded. "Stan, son," I said. Old Cole opened his cloudy eyes, looked at me, and whispered, "Is that you, child? That power. So familiar, yet so strange, interesting. Could this old man sense the King Kong bloodline? Maybe the Blackstone tribe had a trace of it in their ancestry after all. Filed that under, investigate later. Then a commotion outside. Bark had returned from hunting, dragging a big wild boar behind him. He took one look at the scene. Kneeling tribe, stranger in metal armor, leopard girl, demon wolf, and immediately went into combat mode, grabbing his stone axe. "Who are you? What did you do to my people?" I smiled. A real smile. This was a good man. "Bark. It's me, Stanson." The look on his face was priceless. His brain physically short-circuited trying to reconcile scrawny bullied kid with literal demigod standing in front of him. His axe dropped from numb fingers. But the real show was still coming. I walked to the center of camp. Every eye on me. I held up my hand. The storage ring flashed. And out of thin air, like the world's greatest magic trick, I materialized a mountain of supplies. Thick bundled furs. Stacks and stacks of dried, salted meat. Bags of grain. Piles of magic cores glittering like jewels. Real iron weapons, swords, spears, axes. Everything I'd liberated from the Bloodscar clan, dumped in the middle of camp like Santa Claus having a midlife crisis. For a tribe that couldn't remember the last time everyone ate on the same day. This was like finding El Dorado. The silence lasted about 3 seconds. Then the eruption. Food. So much food. Real furs. Complete furs. Magic cores. He brought magic cores. Iron weapons. Iron. People were crying, hugging each other, kissing the ground, jumping up and down. Children swarmed the meat pile with eyes the size of dinner plates, drooling waterfalls. Old women wept openly. Warriors who'd been holding pointy sticks 5 minutes ago were now cradling actual iron swords like newborn babies. I let them have their moment. Then I raised my hand. Instant silence. Every face turned to me, glowing with gratitude and awe and absolute devotion. Food goes to elders, children, and wounded first. Furs and grain, Shaman Mora and Bark manage the distribution. Weapons go to the strongest fighters. We're forming a proper guard. Nobody argued. Nobody even thought about arguing. I'd just gone from presumed dead loser to undisputed leader in about 15 minutes, using nothing but a big rock, a bigger pile of loot, and the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you could bench press the entire village. I looked at Scarface, still sitting in his own puddle. What you did to Stanson before. Forgotten. But if you bully anyone ever again, I didn't finish. Didn't need to. Yes, sir. Never again, sir. Chief SIR. He was kowtowing so hard he was going to give himself a concussion. Chief. I hadn't claimed that title yet. But we both knew it was just a matter of paperwork at this point. Lena appeared at my side, watching the tribe members joyfully distributing supplies. You're more popular than expected, she murmured. I watched a little kid bite into a piece of dried meat and burst into tears of happiness. Something tightened in my chest that had nothing to do with King Kong bloodline or chaos magic. This is just step one, I said quietly. Full bellies keep you alive. But this tribe needs more than food. It needs strength, order, dignity. I looked out at the barren mountains. Somewhere out there was Chief Garg and his wolf army. Somewhere out there were tribes that had mocked these people for generations. Somewhere out there was an entire world that had written off the Blackstone tribe as worthless. And I'm going to give them all of it. Day? Honestly, I've lost count at this point. But the scoreboard returned home in triumph. Day 1 as the unofficial chief of the world's saddest village. Sun's up, fog's clearing, and for the first time in who knows how long, the Blackstone tribe woke up with food in their bellies. You'd think I'd handed them the keys to paradise. Kids were actually playing. Adults were chewing slowly, savoring every bite like it was a Michelin star meal instead of dried meat that tasted like salted cardboard. Eyes had light in them again. Hope. Fragile, flickering, but real. I stood on top of that boulder I'd lifted yesterday, my new podium, my throne, my, yes, I can pick this up, so don't test me, reminder, and surveyed my kingdom. My kingdom was garbage. Let's be honest. Broken fences, collapsing mud huts, malnourished people, weapons made of sticks and wishes. One shaman who was older than some of the trees. A total military force of guys who can hold a pointy thing without dropping it. Zero agriculture. Zero infrastructure. Zero anything. But you know what I did have? 30-ish able-bodied people who were terrified of me and would do literally anything I said because I gave them food and lifted a rock. That's a start. I took a deep breath and went full drill sergeant. Blackstone tribe. Eating was step 1. But if we just sit here stuffing our faces, we'll be starving again in a week and dead in 2. We need strength. We need walls. We need food that grows back. Every face turned to me. Some hopeful, some confused, some still chewing. From today, everything changes. And I'm leading the change. First order of business. Army. Bark? Yes, SIR. The big guy snapped to attention like he'd been waiting his entire life for someone to shout orders at him. Honestly, he probably had. Every male 16 to 40, plus any woman who wants to fight. East clearing now? I want to see what I'm working with. Bark started hollering. People started moving. Within 10 minutes, I had about 30 half-orcs standing in a clump on the east field, holding various objects that technically qualified as weapons if you squinted hard enough. I looked at my army. They looked back at me. This was going to take a while. They were thin, weak, undisciplined, poorly armed, and radiating the collective confidence of a group of kittens at a dog show. Some were holding their spears backward. One guy was using his shield, a piece of bark, as a seat. But buried under all that malnutrition and defeat, there was something. These were ORCS. Half-orcs, sure, but orc blood runs hot. Fighting was in their DNA. It had just been beaten out of them by years of poverty and humiliation. Time to beat it back, Ian. I know you're hungry and weak, I bellowed, pacing in front of them. I know you think those sticks in your hands are useless. But listen to me. I stopped. Let the silence build. Strength isn't born. Courage isn't given. Good weapons don't fall from the sky. You know why other tribes bully us. Because we're weak. Because we're scattered. Because we believe we're worthless. Faces were changing. Shame. Anger. The beginnings of something combustible. I was the weakest one here. I pointed at myself. The one you all thought was dead. But I survived. I got strong. And now I'm going to teach you how to get strong too. But only if you stop acting like livestock waiting to be slaughtered. I could see it. That spark in their eyes. That dormant orc fire, smoldering. So tell me, I roared. Do you want to keep being nothing? Waiting for wolves or goblins to walk in, eat your food, kill your families, and use your skulls as decorations? Or do you want to follow me, sweat and bleed, and become warriors who protect their own? Answer me. Bark went first, red-eyed and roaring. I want to be a warrior, then another. And no more starving. Protect our home. Follow Stanson. It was messy and chaotic and half of them were crying while they shouted, but it was beautiful. 30 starving, ragged, beaten down half-orcs screaming their defiance at a world that had written them off. I almost got emotional. Almost. Instead, I channeled it into more yelling. Good. You are now the first soldiers of Blackstone Tribe. I am your head instructor. This, I pointed at Lena, who looked extremely cool and deadly standing there with her arms crossed, is Deputy Instructor Lena. She teaches stealth, scouting, and how to move without sounding like a herd of drunk elephants. Anyone who slacks off gets their meal rations cut. Warriors eat. Quitters chew bark. The word, meal, hit harder than any motivational speech. Eyes blazed. First exercise, run, around the entire camp perimeter. I don't say stop, you don't stop. Fall behind, your lunch meat soup gets halved. Bark, lead. Bark exploded forward. Everyone else scrambled after him like their lives depended on it. Because, in a way, their soup depended on it, which was basically the same thing. The formation, if you could call it that, was hilariously bad. Wobbly legs, gasping lungs, 3 guys tripping over the same rock, 1 woman somehow running faster than everyone else, future squad leader noted. But they were running. They were trying. Lena ghosted alongside them like a shadow with cat ears, occasionally appearing next to a slacker and giving them the amber-eyed death stare. Motivation through sheer terror. Effective. While my baby army wheezed its way around the camp, I switched to Phase 2, civilization. I found Shaman Mora, who was organizing our supplies with the efficiency of a very old, very determined accountant. Mora, where's the nearest reliable water source? Any decent farmland nearby? She pointed east toward a small stream. There's a creek that never dries up, and a patch of wet ground beside it. Too rocky to farm, though. We tried growing root vegetables years ago. Terrible harvest. Gave up. I went to look. The stream was small, but steady. The land beside it was promising, flattish, moist, decent soil under about 9,000 rocks. Nothing that couldn't be fixed by a tribe of orcs with enhanced motivation and a leader who could bench press boulders.